look down the line, these are your leads.
Team leads, raise your hand. You should be at the end and the middle.
Team leads, raise your hands. Okay. All right. Orange, you want to go? As we progress, either myself or
everybody. This is Dave Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. Thank you guys who ever are able at this time of day to join in on this live. I just coming today to talk a little bit about current events in my son's case and to hopefully interact with some of you that may be in the chats. As you guys know, it's been 2 years, 2 months that my son have been missing, going on 3 months, you guys. And, it's still devastating to me and my family. The efforts for Daniel is still ongoing. I'm going to continue to fight. You already know that. You already know this is one of the things that is not going to stop. So I want to talk about those things and, like I said, just to engage with you guys to try to get back into doing the lives again and things like that. I'm still struggling with that, you guys, and I'm really trying to get a point where we can engage and talk. So that's what I'll be talking about, and hopefully you guys will join me on the other side. So thank you so much, like I said, for joining in, and I'll see you on the other side. When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family. Without these special people behind me, I wouldn't have a search. Hello, everybody. Again, this is Dave Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. Thank you guys for joining in this midday. Some that may be near noon. Those who are listening in this morning. I just want to say thank you so much again, like I said, for being a part of this live. It's been a while again to discuss my son's case with you guys. I did several lives, of course, on social media, doing little videos here and there, but I never have the opportunity in a while to sit and engage with those who have interest in my son's case. Of course, you guys remember when I first started this live on the YouTube channel, Please Help Find Daniel. It was designed to get Daniel's story out, as well as, like I say, engage with those who support the efforts here in my son's case. So those are the main reasons, and also to help other families, like I said, to share their stories, give the opportunity to try to build a platform to reach many people out there. So just starting off, you guys, if you have a moment, can you hit that like and share, subscribe button? That would help with the algorithm to get this channel out far as it can reach. Because that's the main goal. It's not an entertainment channel. It's a channel to put information out, like I said, about my son's case. When I first went out to Arizona, when I, been a military guy, I know how important communication is. So first get out to Arizona, one of the first things I have done is to start the Please Help Find Daniel pages, these social media platforms, to get information out, as well as built the website Please Help Find Daniel. Was another way that I originally started to get information out to the public. So again, very, very important, very crucial for efforts to find your loved ones. And I do encourage those who may be listening, have missing loved ones, if you haven't already, to do so. Very important. Again, you guys, like I said, there's 2 years, 2 months now, going on 3 months. Daniel have been missing. He got, of course, you guys know, June 23rd of 2021. My son went missing. Well, it was said he went missing on that day, but he was reported missing out in the Sonoran Desert of Arizona. And but of course, but I'm not going into the whole case information on this live. I would say that for some later time. Like I said, I'm just here today to talk about what's happening now, and as well as engage with you. As you guys know, it's been a few months since I had the candlelit visual. That visual is a virtual visual it's been 2 years. Daniel went missing. It was also to bring, put Daniel's case a little further out, as well as highlight other missing person cases as well. To, like I say, put a spotlight on the uh, things that happen in this country. It is very devastating to see how many people go missing every day in this country, and then only a big amount of them will never be found. You guys, and some being going through this process, I understand fully how things like this can happen. You know how a missing loved one can go missing for years, and it's always from the biggest part is always from the way law enforcement approaches that case. I've been watching, you guys, and I want to put something together for a next live, but I've been watching this case with this guy. I can't think of his name. Hispanic guy that was came from South America. He had murdered someone there, and then he came to the United States and murdered his, I think it was his girlfriend. But he was in prison and he broke out. You guys know this story where he's out there for a lengthy time. But it's ironic. I was looking at the story, and I just noticed one thing, saying that really strikes me. Like I said, I was had that argument in 2020, 2023, with all the technologies and things that we have, the Ring doorbells, to you name it. There's no reason for, when my family and I asked the Buckeye Police Department for footage of my son driving to work, anything. It show anything that he actually went to these locations, cell phone pings, satellite footage, whatever the case may be. With all the technologies that we have, they somehow say they cannot provide those or don't have those, right? And that's the reason why my son is missing today. Those initial approaches, right? And one of the things I was looking at, like I said, in that case, was that with the doorbell rings, and they actually was tracking the area where this guy was located. Saying they couldn't find him because he didn't want to be found. People put that comparison, say, hey, well, look, took a while before they found this guy. Yes, because he didn't want to be found. But I understand this guy, he know how to live in trees. So there's a lot of ways this guy was avoiding, eluding law enforcement. But nobody can argue the fact that 9 times out of 10 people that goes missing, they're not out eluding the police, not to be found. So like I said, with the technologies, let's say there was a missing person, they would have tracked him from the time he left that prison when he climbed that wall like Spider-Man to when he ended up passing somebody's backyard to that type thing. They would have been able to look into these cases and say, hey, look, this is where we've seen people. This is where we saw this person last before they went missing. And this is where they may be in this area. Give a general area where to search, right? So if you take it seriously, I think that things can be done. But like I said, not just the ring cameras, but there's also other technologies out there where if you want to find somebody, you can. Like I said many times on this channel, I have watched movies, or you watch things that happen in reality when there's a bank robbery. They can tell the time for that person left that bank and track them all the way to their location to arrest them, right? Same thing. Same thing. Same technologies that's able to because this is a capitalistic country to get your money back, because money means everything in this country. It's the same thing that life should be worth a lot more than money, and you should use those same technologies to find loved ones. So again, I just wanted to kind of blow those things out, that I had in my thoughts in my mind about. Excuse the lighting, you guys. I have a big bright light behind me, and it's kind of going against my lighting that I have for my makeshift, if you want to call it a studio. But the thing is, the sun is really bright behind me coming through the curtain. So, that's why you see that little fading in and out. But like I said, you guys, technology to date is one of the keys to finding missing loved ones. It's just the fact that a lot of times, just like in Daniel's case, I remember one time I talked to an attorney in the past when I was looking for an attorney early on in Daniel's case. Attorney told me, said, Buckeye Police Department don't want their whole department to be all about Daniel, meaning they don't want to take all their resources, because it costs them money. They don't want their resources to go out and search for Daniel. They'll, say they don't want all their money going there. It's a couple of reasons I take that, because he's a young black male. Sometimes I take these. He's not, a certain person's where if one of their loved ones or a police officer, they don't care about throwing that kind of money out. But when it comes to Daniel being Daniel, yes, I can believe that attorney who have an assessment, who dealt with that department specifically, as well as some other departments in Arizona, would say, hey, look, they don't want it to be all about Daniel. They don't want to spend their money. I can't think of the person that runs the department, give them their money, but they don't want their money going all out into that one case. That's the reason why you guys initially, I'm going to be sharing. I'm really trying to find. I'm legally going through a process right now to release audio that of me talking to law enforcement. I'm saying it this way on purpose because it's true. I record myself. And I record myself to keep record of what I say and do. And I record myself talking to the Buckeye Police Department. And I want to be able to release my discussion with the Buckeye Police Department to the public, so you guys can know initially everything that I was saying for true. No matter what that report says, you would hear from their own mouths, the officers who decided they wasn't going out to look for Daniel. They didn't do a search for Daniel, and I'm still questioning this helicopter search, because to date, the Phoenix Fire and Police have not released, haven't even found record of that yet. And that was almost a year and a half ago that I put in that FOIA request for that. And they still, I check on time to time, I still have the number. Well, we still ain't got nothing yet. To this day, you guys, almost 2 years into it. But the thing I was saying, I have these recordings. I record everything. Like I told that officer, his face turned red when I told him that. I record everything. And when I say I record everything, I have so much, you guys, I want to share with the public. And so I can put those timelines together, show you all exactly what Buckeye haven't done and what's falsified in their report. So the thing is, again, one of the things is the way they approached Daniel. They literally did not have a drive to go search for Daniel, much as I was pleading. And it was in the recording of myself where I talked to an officer, and he explained he came in a shift. He looked in the computer. He didn't see no helicopter search. He didn't see this. Oh, well, what they're doing, what he told me is that they put him in the NCIC database. They put him in the database, and I didn't know what that was at the time. They put him in the database, and he explained it to me. Hey, look, if Daniel's driving his Jeep around and he get pulled over, or he passes a vehicle or a law enforcement, no matter what state, past their I guess their cameras or something, and they pick up the license plate, they'll pull him over and say, "Hey, your dad's looking for you," and that was it. That's the initial approach of the Buckeye Police Department, you guys. And so the point is, I'm saying is, no matter how much I beg and plead that department that night when Daniel went missing, when I found out that he was actually missing in the desert, because I had some misinformation. I just say, hey, he went to some work site. So in work site in your mind, my mind was like some construction site or something. I don't know. And near a road or residential area, I just don't know. But once I got more information from Daniel's co-workers and his job, and found a note, they said, no, it's in the desert, Sonoran Desert, out there in the desert, and it's in a remote part of the desert. When I heard that, I called the Buckeye Police Department back and demanded they put a helicopter search out there for him. I started going to the point of utilizing. Daniel is not a handicapped person. He's never been. Though he was born, that's why you guys don't hear me say it so much. He was born without a right hand, but yet, saying Daniel have never let anything stop him. It never was a handicap. He was born that way, so to him it's natural. But the thing is, I even had used that to say, hey, my son would not be able to fend for himself out there in the desert. He's not even from this area, from South Carolina. He have never been in Sonoran Desert before, which it was true at the time. And, Buckeye still didn't. Oh, well, we can't get a helicopter out there tonight. We can do it tomorrow. All right. Okay. Stayed up all night. And the next morning, you guys, the story. I was there waiting, talking to officers all night, Officer Cruz and all that. I know when they say, hey, in the report, again, they play word games, you guys. Yes, we searched we searched the area where he would miss. Yeah, the area was up and down Sun Valley Park. I was on the phone physically with the, again, recorded stuff with the Officer Cruz, who was with another. It was him and another officer. That's it. Period. Just two. You guys riding up down Sun Valley Parkway to see if, because it's a long road. You got, they used to call it the road to nowhere. It's so long. And to see if he was stuck on the side of the road somewhere. That's what calls searching the area. That's not a search for a person. That's a riding up down looking for somebody stranded on the side of the road. Thing they was doing, but they didn't go out in the desert. So don't get fooled by words and that Buckeye used in the report. One of the things is, again, on the phone, the guy told me he's gonna do it the next morning. As you guys know, the next morning came. Looking for them to do what they said they're gonna do. The officer called me back. The way he sound is as if it's not my fault, but my higher ups, said, hey, they unauthorized the flight. They said, the council say it's unauthorized because Daniel's a grown man. If he want to disappear on his own, he can. That is an assumption, you guys, that caused my son again to be missing to this date. You guys, I'm telling you guys. So it's all just not rehash everything again, you guys, because I really want to go through it. But what I'm saying is, the bottom line of what I'm saying is, you guys, it's all about what law enforcement does for your loved one from day one. How serious they take your loved one's case and what they are willing to spend when it comes to our tax dollars, you guys, but what they're willing to spend money to protect you with your money, you guys, that type deal. As you guys know, I have done 49 weeks of desert searches, cover over 35,000 acres of land, and not a penny came out of law enforcement to do that. Nothing. I even had to finally got law enforcement to really come out to a search because I put them on the spot in the media. I put Tippett Police Department, which haven't showed up. They came with some lame excuse. And also, I invited all law enforcement in that area. Also, Maricopa County, that didn't show up. And the Buckeye Police Department magically did show up. But no, the way they showed up, you guys, they showed up unhelpful. They didn't do anything. They had sent about, I think, 3 or 4 officers, and they came up to that search looking like they work for Mayberry or something. Nothing, a weapon on their sides. No, not being critical of the way they look or anything like that, but what they have not done. You guys, we have found something that appears to be human remains while we're out there that day. We had to go to ASU, Arizona State University Forensics Department, and send pictures to find out if these are human. But we had officers right there unwilling to even look. When I found out what these officers were doing in my searches out there, you guys, they was in the Hassayampa River wash. I call it cupcake, and they had their little vehicle pinned up against each other, like how you guys see them on the side of a road behind some building somewhere talking to each other. They was pretty much like that outside the vehicle, laughing and jiving, cupcaking while we out there trying to search. I mean, in other words, they just came out to say we came out, so I can't say they didn't show up. But they didn't do anything to help towards searching for Daniel. That was just a PR campaign for them to say, hey, we had officers out there. So that's what I'm saying, you guys. It's all about the way things are approached. And the crazy part about it, you guys, I made the event for law enforcement to make it easier for them to say it's a community event. Like I said, some had said they will not be able to make it. They cannot do it because some legal this and that. But then the next breath and the next week, I seen Buckeye Police Department go to a church event, which is a community event. So it depends on who the person is. Another part of disparities, I like to call it, depends on who you are, what color you are, and who you are as a person will move law enforcement to do things that they find ways not to do. They'll throw a legal thing out there. They'll throw this and there, whatever the case may be, just to justify their inaction. And if it's racism, they're racism. The way they look at things. You got to look at you guys and what happened in Daniel's case and why I'm not going to stop, you guys. Why I'm going to continue to fight. I have a life, you guys know, I had to leave my home in South Carolina to come out to Arizona. But I have a home in South Carolina. I have a young daughter. I have a life that I have to take care of as well. But that my son is my son, and I have to fight for him as well. So those things are joined together. And like I said, this fight will continue for my son. But I cannot do this alone. It have never been a me and I alone thing, you guys. You guys have been helping. I had, like I said, the grassroots search for Daniel. You guys have been helping from day one. I reached out to the community, and the community reached back. I think I lost my feed. I don't know if I kind of froze up there on my screen, so I'm looking at the screen on the other side here, and I hope you guys can still hear me. I'm not sure. Let me check this right here. I always have some issues. You guys probably notice I always have issues with my. Let me see here. Okay. I guess you guys can still hear me. Let's see if I can turn my camera off and issue. Let's see here. Okay. Well, I don't want to go this direction, you guys. I really want to have myself back on the screen and make sure you guys can interact with me in the right way. I do see a lot of content creators. They would have the little bouncy button head, but I don't like doing things that way. But I guess I would have to, you guys. So that would help a lot. So I'm going to put that little Bobby thing up there. You see something blinking at least, you guys. I can't get my camera up, but at least you can see something coming up, right? That probably help out with some visual effect, I guess you could say. But thank you so much, Ryan. I really appreciate you coming out from the YouTube side as well, from Denver, as well as Lily's Mushings. Thanks so much here from Dubai. Wow, thanks so much. Originally from Wisconsin. Thank you. I really appreciate you joining in and showing your support. God bless you for that. Also, Brooke, thank you so much for being here as well this morning. Thank you for your constant support as well. I really appreciate it. Good morning. Thinking of you as always. I appreciate that. I need that I need that positive energy coming my way. So I appreciate that. Little Muslings, thank you again for your prayers and your support. God bless you. If you guys have any questions, I want to say this real quick before I keep going. If you have any questions, hit that before you ask your question, put the word question before your question, or put a question mark there, or capital letter Q, so I can know that it's actually a question. Because sometimes when I see, like you said, little Lily's Mushings, if I see you several times, I might try to skip down to the next person, and I don't realize you actually have a question. And the reason I had to skip down so I can save time, as well as I'm trying to make sure I get everybody in. So if you have a question, put the capital letter Q before the question, the word question, or a question mark before the question. That way, when I'm coming down the comment section, you guys, I can actually see your question and I can address those. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Lily's Mushing. I don't know if there's a question, but I'm going to put this up. Could you link the missing episode that covered his case? That is how I became aware of his case. Yes, I can't find that link again. It's been a while since I've seen that episode. As you guys know, those who have been following this my son's case, as well as been following this channel, you guys know I haven't been part of the missing episode. When I say I wasn't a part, the affiliate of the missing utilized video that I have did on a previous interview with one of the affiliates, and they added in with the interview they did with Daniel's mother and his brother. And Lily's, I'm telling you, one of the best things about Discover ID, that when they put that missing episode, I'm really grateful, because that do cause the Daniel case to get out there in the public a lot more. And they constantly plan it, because as you say this, I've been hearing this for seemed like over a year since they released that to the public, and it's still bringing support. So I'm really grateful for Discover ID for that. But those who have been following this channel know I have to say, I cannot go without saying every time I hear it, and I have a certain feeling towards some things that people have seen on that episode that really hurts my feelings. It really, I'm in defense of Daniel. My whole major cause for being out and fighting is to fight for my son Daniel. That is number one. That is automatic. That's going to happen. Not saying his mother and his brothers not as well. It just that I'm the one out here fighting for Daniel, and I'm just going to say it that way. And I'm privy to a lot of information about my son's case that the rest of my family do not have. Okay, so what happened is, when I watched the episode, I really got really sick to my stomach in one couple of areas. Some things I can look at and say, hey, look, that's a little bit of misinformation. That's things that can slide. But there's one in particular misinformation that really, really, I couldn't even sleep, you guys, at night after I saw that episode. And that part was when they say Daniel's mother says I could see the pain and this or whatever, how they put that thing together. That was far from the truth of what happened in Daniel's case. They had Daniel's room, his apartment portrayed to be nasty. He had trash hanging out the trash can, and the dishes in the sink. And I'm telling you guys, I have been investigating Daniel's case from day one. Tried to work with law enforcement, had to do my own private get a private investigator, as well as investigate my son's disappearance on my own. And one of the things, you guys, that I didn't want to do is share a lot of investigative pictures with the public. You know what I'm saying? Because some things that I ended up finding out about Daniel's apartment that we know to date, I didn't want some things to be revealed in case there are someone who may know something, and then they find out what we know, right? But I had to release some pictures to the public. You guys, Lily, if I was had the opportunity right now, I would have shared it right now so you can understand where I'm coming from. But I had to share some pictures with you guys of Daniel's apartment to show you how immaculate it was. The way he left it when he left for work that morning, allegedly, right? And how it was left. When I say immaculate, he's just a young bachelor guy. It's not just some fancy apartment with some fancy furniture and fancy this, but what I'm saying, it was clean. You guys, I had to show you the trash can. I had to show you the sink. I had to show you, those type things where you can see, hey, no, only thing was messy in Daniel's entire apartment was his bedroom, you guys. And we guys, from hindsight now, because the investigator, because I have gotten the Tempe Police Department to do forensics on Daniel's electronics, which they shared the information with the Buckeye Police Department. But get them to do that information. That gave me answers to what happened in that apartment, why his room was messy. Somebody was looking for something, you guys. They even did a search on his computer. Somebody was looking for something, tore up his room. My investigator had suspicions, but those electronics, DNA test, forensics, going through the forensics of that electronics gave us those things, put those things together, and something happened in the apartment. That's something you guys don't hear in the report because Buckeye, I'm telling you guys, they're selective and they're intentionally ignoring certain facts. But that was my thing, Lily. It was really painful to watch that in Daniel, and it put him in a light where he wasn't at the time, you guys. He wasn't in some crisis, some mental crisis, and some of that, again, I saw some things you guys may hear from the Buckeye Police Department that says the father said he was in love with a woman he didn't know. I have never, and I asked them to redact that many times. They won't put that out their report, but it's a falsehood. It's a lie. I never ever said anything. My daughter haven't said anything. We both are angry about that. Buckeye had to be careful because you never know, legal action come between that. But never ever, Daniel have never expressed, you guys. I'm even preparing to release some Daniel's last conversation with me, parts of it, not the whole thing that's between me and my son, but some parts of Daniel and I's conversation where you can hear the discussion about the young lady. He never mentioned the word love. He never mentioned. That's the first I even heard about the young lady. The only time that I heard about the young lady from Daniel, he have never mentioned love. So why would I tell law enforcement something that Daniel have never said? So to me, so that's the thing. To his sister. So that's the thing that law enforcement was really eager about for whatever reason. They want to sensationalize my son's case. They have been doing that from day one. They even came out with a new report now where they're sensationalizing my son's case by releasing things that, like, I call it fillers, things that don't even make sense about this whole case. It's not going to find my son, but it's ways to try to make me look bad as a person. It's personal attacks to me, it's personal attacks to probably my family, you guys, and ways they defending themselves. Write a whole, they change the report. I mean, guys, it's like a story. Change the report to I guess, just try to paint a picture for the public to say, oh, they did so much, and they haven't. They spread it out so well so it can look like they did a whole lot. So, but the thing is, guys, what I'm saying, the whole point I'm making is I have to defend my son at all case. I agree with the observation completely. Continue prayers for your efforts. Thank you, Tish. I really appreciate your support. Danielle, thank you so much for being here. Ridiculous they didn't help. Yeah, it's very, and but I'm telling you guys, Daniel, the case of my son, I call him, I like to call my sons America's son. And the reason why I say that, because it happens every day. What happened to my family and what happened to Daniel and what happened to my family, it happens every day. We're not unique. It's nothing new about what happened in my son's case, and that didn't happen in nobody else's case. What I'm saying is this is an example of how law enforcement approaches. It depends on who you are. It depends on what kind of money you got. It depends on, if you're a part of their blue or whatever the case may be, the way they react to cases, right? So, this is not something that, is just unique to my family, but it's a type of shadow of something that we can look at and say, hey, this is America's son. This is exactly what this country does, and why this father is still out here fighting for son. Why this father out here asks for GoFundMe to fund searches and fund this and do that. Why is this happening when law enforcement have taxpayers' money they get a paycheck for, and they should be spending every dime they can to do what I'm doing? I talk to, and you guys know I'm friends with the Petitos, and I talk to their dad all the time, and we have some discussions. This one thing I want to point out, and I don't like to really bring up the case because it's very painful for that family as well. But I do know little do I do know. I don't know a whole lot about the case, but one thing I did check into is how the murderer. I won't go with the Gabby side of things, but I would go with the murderer side. They spent over $1 million to look for this guy before they even found out that he did anything. He left his parents' house with a backpack on his back and took off somewhere in the woods. And they spent over $1 million search for the guy. Ultimately, found out he was his deceased and all this kind of stuff. But they found him quick, over $1 million. But then, yet, you guys see the efforts that I have been doing, and it's not just the search for Daniel. The efforts I have been doing to go out and follow leads, to investigate. Of course, you guys, like I say, the search to get a private investigator, to put out thousands of flyers all across the country, to trap just so much, you guys. Everything that put billboards from the east side of Phoenix to the west, you guys, that costs money, right? That's more than the efforts that law enforcement did in that case, in my opinion. Though I get it, they had the FBI, they had this, swelling support from law enforcement. I get all of that, but they haven't had detailed things that have done, like putting out these flyers and looking for those answers that way. They're just looking for the person, you guys. They wasn't trying to reach out to everybody else to help look for this person. So I had to do all of that, you guys, and that's what I was saying, you guys. So it takes a lot of resources. It takes a lot of resources to do things like that, and I cannot. I'm telling you guys, after 49 weeks of searches, 35,000 acres of land, law enforcement didn't spend a dime on my searches or my efforts, you guys. Haven't spent a dime. And when I literally say that, I really mean that, you guys. So it came from you, myself and you guys. We put our monies to keep the searches going and keep everything going that's happening in my son's case. So again, I thank you guys for everybody who have been supporting. Kim, thanks so much for being here. Danielle, thank you again for being here. I was going to ask if you think race and gender impairs the search for Daniel. And I have, I'm telling you something, you guys. It's a very delicate. I'm glad you asked that question. Thank you for the question. It's a delicate situation for me. Now I can be honest. I come from a place, you guys, where I didn't have very good, thoughts on law enforcement growing up. I got beat. I have scars on my body to this date from police brutality. That's just the thing in the neighborhoods that we grew up. Sit on the corner talking to your friends after high school. Cop get out his car, they start chasing you. You get caught, you already know what's going to happen. They beat you up and then just let you go. And I had that happen to me. I had happened to me getting off a city bus. Cop had me. I didn't even see the lady's face. She yelled at me, tell me that don't move. Had to put my hands in the air, put it behind my head, and the only thing I can have been walking backwards for whatever reason. And then next thing I know, I saw my face coming to the concrete, bust my face all open, pick me up, slam me against the vehicle, the police vehicle, and put my face on the hot. That when I say it's hot, you guys, put on a hot engine thing there, and pull my wallet out my back pocket, and then looked at it and said, "Oh, we got the wrong person," and pushed me away, let me go, and just drove off. But I'm standing there bloody and beat up. You know what I'm saying? I could tell you so many stories and so many other. But that was the thing that I had to deal with law enforcement. A person who had never broken the law, never been to jail, that type things. You guys, but got beat up by the police. See my friends get shot in the back by police. But this is before the time, you guys might tell my age a little, but before the time we had the cell phones where everybody was sitting there. We had cell phone, but not taking pictures of people. Taking pictures of law enforcement, what's going on. That's before we actually was able to do all of that kind of stuff. But what I'm saying is, you guys, when you ask that question, Danielle, do I think race has a lot to do with it? Yes, I do have a lot, but you don't hear me speak about it a lot, you guys. It's like I said, it's a delicate type thing for me. And to be honest, you guys, being a black man coming out to search my son in a state that that's known for racism, I was really careful about my approach. I can tell you, and it may sound kind of bad, especially coming on the black community. I didn't have a lot of black community support. So when I'm out there and that searches and 90% of my support is white people, I don't want to offend anybody. So I kind of had that cross two thing where I didn't want to offend my support, and at the same time want to tell the truth that I had going on at the time. So, and there's a lot of truths. I've seen a lot of racist behavior from the Buckeye Police Department, guys. You guys probably heard me say this one time before, just going out to the department to meet Detective Biffin for the first time. He called me out there. I left Phoenix, my hotel in Phoenix, and was headed up to Buckeye, and got there into that police department. As soon as I walked through the door, you guys, I got the racism. I walked through the door, some white guy sitting there behind the desk, older officer, And I said, "Hey, how you doing, sir?" "Yeah, what you want?" I mean, just yell at me. I had to jump back, like, "What's going on?" He said, "Yeah, what you want?" I said, "Oh, I'm coming to speak to a detective Bill." Well, he ain't here, that type deal. I mean, it was real bad, you guys. Like he didn't want me there, and he probably was going to arrest me or something. I said, "Well, you just called me." Then some other woman came out, and she said he wasn't there. I got confused, and they just sent me off, like pretty much get on out of this department. I walked out the door, called Detective Biff. He said, "I am here. I'm in the back. Who told you?" He came out the side door. It is weird to me. That's the first indication, you guys. Second thing, got a lead from from a person who was took his wife took a picture of a vehicle that looked like Daniel's. And I still to this day, you guys, we already know in investigating that part of things. Buckeye is trying to dismiss it. You don't hear it in the report. They try to overshadow that because those are some factual things. But the thing is, going out to research and find out who towed this vehicle away. And I had actually brought a black officer with me who's well trained for that, and as well as a friend and my daughter. She was with me as well. We're all on the ground trying to investigate the tracks on the ground to try to see if anything match or find any pieces of Daniel's vehicle, if it's his, that type deal. My daughter got tired. She literally sat in the back seat of the car. She got in and got in my car, got in the back seat and shut the door. As soon as she shut the door, a truck full of white guys in a pickup truck colors the end of where I mean in broad daylight. I haven't seen this in South Carolina where I'm from, you guys, and I grew up around seeing a lot of racism. And when I seen these guys doing this in broad daylight with no shame, the officer, she told me, say, "Look, this Buckeye area is known for racism, and you need to be careful. What you need to do is make sure you get you and your family out of here before it turned dark." That's when I found out that parts of Buckeye is called a sundown town, you guys. And sundown towns is the different places in the United States still to this date. I found out what sundown towns were when I was back in the day and I was driving a truck and I was out in bottom half of Texas when I was tired coming off the interstate I-10 and I was getting off. I think it was Texas or maybe New Mexico, you guys. And I was right there in them desert areas, but I saw this road that says off the interstate said a town is down not too far. So I got off the road and started going down the road to get to this town. When I made it to this town, they had a McDonald's because they did a McDonald's sign there. They had a McDonald's, and I was going to get something to eat and go to sleep. Right. I parked my truck. As I was driving down the road, I did see the white folks in the vehicles looking at me in a strange way. But I didn't take too much of it. Parked my truck in the clearing that I saw and started walking down the street. But I noticed people slowing down. It was getting near the dark area of the day, you guys. And I remember it was slowing down and looking at me. But when I got to the McDonald's, and I could be honest with you guys, the way I thought in my head, I looked at the whole McDonald's and number white people was in there. The workers were white, was nobody black. And I said, "Oh yeah, I need to get there." And I heard one as I walking back, somebody yell out the door, out the window, say, "Don't let the sun catch you," something like that, right? And I knew from that point on, when I grew up, knowing that sundown towns mean if you're black, we're gonna catch you when it's dark. That's when we're gonna do something to you. So you need to get out of here. And that's what I have recognized Buckeye at time. Don't get me wrong, black people live in Buckeye. I met someone who said he's black. He's been living in Buckeye most of his life. He had no problems. But what I'm saying is a lot of those elements, those kind of people live in Buckeye. So you have to be very careful when you're dealing with that. But I can't say having that, you can best believe that those kind of people are part of the Buckeye Police Department. Like I said, just like people don't want to understand. I'm a military guy, retired Army, and we had white supremacists in the Army. We probably still have them. White supremacists. They try to weave them out. We got white supremacists. We even got gang members too. Don't get me wrong, Bloods and Crips, all that kind of stuff in the military. People don't know. A lot of civilians don't know. For instance, we have gang wars. Gang wars in the military, you guys. Believe it or not, you go to Germany. Some guys get stationed there. There is a base in Germany where they had to close the whole base down one day, lockdown, because two rival Bloods and Crip gang members are fighting. These are soldiers now, military, United States Army, going against each other on a military base because they're in a gang. So you got those kind of elements, those dirty elements that get the training from the military, for instance, and take it back to their perspective, whatever they're doing. So we do have the racism, we have all the white supremacists, of course, we have the gang members in the military. So it's best believed they have them in the police department as well. So that's the elements that need to be weeded out of the Buckeye Police Department because I kind of see those things. I want to put no name, but I had this one the detective guy that's over them. He's a former Marine, and he had this stance about himself. You guys, I promise you guys, this guy, when you talk to him, you can see it all in his veins when he talked to you that he really not too bright about black folks. But the thing is, so the reason why I brought all that up, you guys, because I have a history and I have a knowledge of what is racism and what is not. I can tell you the way I raised Daniel and his siblings up. They will, it's sad to say, they would have a certain handicap on recognizing what racism is, and the reasons why is because of the way we grew up. We grew up in schools where disparities are really bad. I grew up in a black school. When I say black, is probably only one white person in that school, student wise. And what we had all the time was hand-me-down material. For instance, when my mother ended up sending me to a different school, it was predominantly white, in the same grade, same city. And when I got there, they said, "Oh, you're behind. You're behind because the books that you have in that school was the hand-me-downs from our school, basically, right?" So we get the hand-me-down stuff, and you get, the computers is not well. So we grew up with that kind of stuff. So we want to make sure our children didn't have that. Daniel's mother and I, and make sure that they have something better. So we send them to better schools. But like I said, because of that, they don't have any real identification of what racism is. I do. I have that, you guys. I know that radar. I have that radar really strong. I know the language. I know the eye look. I know certain things. And yes, in Daniel's case, I have to deal with that a lot. I have to deal with that a lot, but I don't publicly say it, you guys. I don't publicly say it a lot, but it's there. The element is there, and I do think that Danielle, that plays a big factor in the reasons why the Buckeye Police Department decided that Daniel's a grown man, despite of what we said. He's a grown man. He can disappear if he want to. That's something. First of all, he's a male. That even made it even worse. But the other part is he's a black male that make it even harder. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that comment as well. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna keep fighting. You already know that. Thank you, Esther, for being here. So much unnecessary stress they have added to your families. Yes. Search for Daniel. I really hope this will be addressed by the higher ups. And guys, I'm doing a lot in the background. I keep saying the word background. I'm doing a lot, you guys. My efforts, just because you haven't seen me out in the desert now lately. I'm trying to get the funding up for that kind of stuff. But you haven't seen me out in the desert. You haven't seen this. I'm telling you guys, there's a lot of work in the back, talking to officials I cannot name, and really working to get the answers that I need for Daniel's case. And so don't think things are moved still. You'll see social media moving this, that, blah, blah, blah. There's efforts. My efforts was there, you guys, is there. So I hear you say no audio. Okay, I think somebody, let me see. Okay, yeah, I saw someone put up no audio. I just want to make sure if you guys could hear me. Um, Christine the Fields. If you can't hear me, if you guys can hear me, please put a thumbs up. I want to make sure since she put this here, I will have to go down a little bit. I'm gonna mark here so I can know where I left off. But if you guys can hear me, please give me a thumbs up so I can know that you actually hear. Give me a thumbs up right now in the chats. Oh, thank you, Christine. I really appreciate it. I see that. Thank you, Debbie. I really appreciate it. Okay, good. Okay, so the audio must have came back. I really appreciate it. So if I miss it, y'all missing anything, I apologize. I'm always having an issue, and I've been trying to everything, you guys. I said I was gonna change internet carriers. I even talked to StreamYard as a platform I use to stream. I tried everything, you guys, and I'm still having these issues with fees and so on. And you guys see the camera all of a sudden went down, and that kind of deal. Let me see if I can get it back up. No, but I apologize for that. So you guys have been working on it for a long time now. So it's always that way. Things work fine when you have things. I make these non-live stuff and it works fine, but then as soon as I want to do something live, things like that goes down. But Forever Curious, thanks so much for your constant support as well. Thanks for that positive energy. I do have a question, you guys, and I appreciate that capital letter Q, Trailer Park Farm. I really appreciate that. Will you guys mail me posters to put up locally, or I need to print them out? There's two options, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm going to go to the website real quick. You guys can look at this. There's two options, you guys. You can take this off the screen to let me see. Let me get one thing off so you guys can see this a little better. Let me take my overlay off. But one thing I say, you guys, you can look at in on the Daniel Robinson, go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. And this is the website. Everybody know the website. Go to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. And this is a trailer park farm. This is a let's see right here to print the flyers. If you want to print the flyers yourself, you can. That's an option right there for you to print the flyers. That's the PDF if you want to print the flyers. But if you want flyers sent to you, please help find Daniel at yahoo.com is the email address. Please help find Daniel at yahoo.com. And you can request those. And I have several people who have said, "Hey, I've been requesting forever and haven't received it." I really, really apologize for that. Like I said, I have some transition going on some things the way to getting those flyers out. So I'm really redoing that, restructuring that, and make sure those who have, if you don't, I hope you guys are not uptight, but those who have requested in the past, if I find your emails and stuff of your request, I will still send those out to you. And I apologize, like I said, right now for those who have not received that, at a timely fashion, trying to get those out. So again, I apologize for that. But I definitely, like I said, want to make sure these flyers are getting out there. So yes, there's two ways to do Trailer Park Farm. If you can email us at please help find Daniel at yahoo.com. Please help find Daniel at Yahoo, or you can go to please help find Daniel.com and utilize that PDF. Both ways help. It helps tremendously. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for Danielle for being here as well. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. If anybody have any questions, I'm trying to look for some questions. Then I'll try to come back to the comments. If you have any questions, don't forget to put the capital letter Q up. Excuse me. Question mark before your question, the word question. And I can see them as I'm coming down. But I don't see any questions right now, so I will go back to the comments. All right. So I have, let me see here. Danielle, thank you so much again. I'm still here. I'm tearing up. He is America's, and I am so glad you're standing down. Yes. Yes, I'm going to keep on continue on. And, he is America's son in the way I like to put it. And, so it happens to this country a lot. And it's sad, you guys, in 2023, seeing so many loved ones in pain today, you guys, for a missing loved one. It's the worst thing in the world, you guys, when it's one thing when something happened to a person, but then you just don't. I had lost my best friend last year. I think it was last year. And best friend of nearly 20 years. And it was one thing. It was very sudden. He passed away very suddenly. I mean, eating dinner on the way home and then just dropped. That type deal. And it was sudden, shocking, hurting, pain, and but I know where he's at. And and when I say I know where he's at, meaning that it's a settlement on your mind. Though I have days where things I talk to him about, even in this Daniel case, I talked to him that I confide in. I don't have that person to confide with in that area. I do have another best friend, but not in that area of the way things that he and I would talk about. So those things I miss. But I had to have an understanding that it is missing. I know that's something I would not be able to get back. But when you have a missing loved one, you just don't know. I don't know if I have an opportunity to talk to my son again. I am hopeful, and I'm always going to be confident in that. I'm going to keep my faith in that. I'm going to talk to my son again, and he's going to be alive and well. That's my beliefs. Despite of the foul play efforts and everything else I know that happened in Daniel's case, I don't know what foul play mean in this case. So I'm going to be optimistic that my son will be back with us, our family, again, where we can talk. So like I'm saying, you just don't know. So that's the traumatic part for families when we go through having to miss a loved one. You just don't have answers. It's one thing to know, and then one way things go across your head all the time. Sometimes you'll feel like your loved one is deceased. Then the other time you have the hope that that person is alive. So you go back and forth. You don't know what to believe or what to feel. You just go around the circle every day. Don't know what to expect in your loved one's case. So it's hard for families. Allow me to ask Debbie, have this here. Is it only Buckeye Police involved? Yes. What about Maricopa County Sheriff? I have personal conversations, meetings with Sheriff Paul Penzone. He gave me some indications that he was going to be doing some things. He even gave some things that to me was being like some promise of doing some things that he have never lived up to, except for the search. He did a search, but like I said, you guys, it's like to me, everything's more designed to help the blue. I get it. Law enforcement try to help law enforcement out, and that's what the blue do. But that's what it came off to because, I gave them. I had say I was putting this protest together. They had caused me to stop my protest because we had a meeting and with Sheriff Penzone, and he gave. I told him two of my demands, what I'm looking for. He said, hey, his liaison between me and him said, hey, look, man, just give us to the end of the month and they was pleading with me, hey, give us, because they don't want that image on their stain on their department. Like, give me to the end of the month to get those things done, blah blah blah. Okay, yes. So I got to the public, say, hey, I'm postponing this protest, you guys, and because I knew in the background what they promises were to me. Only thing he have done on that promise, one thing I would not mention because I'm still getting an opportunity. But the second thing he promised to do, and that was that search. But then after he did the search, he called my team in. We went to the situation room with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. My team, because I couldn't make it back to Arizona, I had to take care of family emergency, and my team was set there with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office the whole entire day, watching the efforts that they were doing to cover some of the areas that in that desert that I was asking. But they went over some areas I already did, but they went there to use their expertise of what the agreement was, because Maricopa County have a expertise that I do not. I'm just a civilian with civilian people, and we're doing the best we can. But they have the technologies and things, so I was wanting them to do these certain areas, and they said they're doing it, and they did that day, right? But then when it was over, the Buckeye Police Department came straight to the media and say, we did a search and blah blah blah, and I felt so that made me feel a certain way, and that just showed me that search wasn't really to help me find that. It was there to shine for the public to say, hey, for Buckeye to say, hey, look at what I did. And it wasn't a Buckeye Police Department search, it was a Maricopa County search, but they wanted to put the brand and the name on the Buckeye Police Department because they were looking bad at that point in time because of the way they've been handling Daniel's case. So like I said, I don't have any confidence. That's why I'm saying, really, you guys, it's hard for a person to have confidence in the department when those kind of games are played. So, but I do have confidence in the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office because like I said, again, I talked to Mr. Paul Penzone. He gave me an indication of a real straight up man. That's the indication I had at the beginning. But he kind of making me waver a little bit. As one thing to be a person is saying it in face to face, being the person, a man that you say that you are, but then at the same time, I get it, you're in charge of a department, but then your department reflects opposite of what you say with your mouth as a man. So when a man looking at another man, where I come from, when a man looking at another man in the eye and say something, he should mean it. He should mean it and he should stand up to it. And that would cause me to end up start losing respect for a person when they go against their own word. So I'm really hopeful that Sheriff Zone will brighten up and do the right thing, because you know what, as it stands right now, it's getting to a point where I feel that, hey, you can say you're a trustworthy person to the public. So the public, I say, yeah, man, he's doing this for the public, he's doing this and trustworthy person, but then you got to start saying what's really going on, what I'm saying? So it makes you question some things, but at the same time, like I said, I'm very optimistic that he would do based on what I think I know. But yeah, I tried to get the Maricopa County Sheriff involved. I went to the FBI, who did the case briefing, and my son, according to Buckeye, that guy was very racist. Can y'all imagine? Can you imagine being the father of a missing person? You have a missing loved one, and you ask the FBI to come in. They couldn't get them in. Then you forced I forced the Buckeye Police Department to call the FBI to do a case briefing. They said they was coming in to do it. They did it behind my back and said, the FBI said, this is what they said to me: Mr. Robinson, you're doing such a great job. And they said the FBI said this, you guys. You, Mr. Robinson, doing such a great job on your own. We don't need to come in. Like, I mean, who would say that, right? But so of course I went to the FBI field office in Phoenix to approach that. Like, wait a minute, that don't sound right, Mr. Larnell. He set that up for me, and we both went down there, and we got in the parking lot. Can you guys can imagine? I'm a victim under Arizona's law of a family. We are a victim, and can you imagine having a missing loved one and you trying to get help and trying to get answers from the FBI? You guys go down to the field office and you get to the they have, of course they protect it. They have their little security station before you can even go to the building, and they don't even allow you in the building. They don't allow you in the building. It's one thing to come in through a back door that Buckeye Police brought me and my daughter and put us in the interrogation room. It's another thing, you guys, to not allow us in the building. And then they brought in armed guards with him like we were going to do something. I'm a man with a pen and a pad in my hand, trying to get questions about my son, and I got yelled at by the FBI agent. You guys, I'm saying yell at. I knew you fucking finished saying who I am, just yelling at me, you guys. And I thought they was going to arrest Mr. Farmer. The way they whole disposition was, we had to get out of there. To make a long story short, and that was in a guard tower, you guys. They wouldn't even allow us in the building. So I'm saying is, you guys, I tried that as well. I went to the Attorney General's office, you guys. I went in there, the higher up at the time. They got a new person now. Would not even see me. They sent an agent downstairs. I discussed what I needed. Everything I said, I mean, literally, you guys, everything I said, because I have the grown up things about what happened with the police department, how they handled Dave's case, etc. He told me everything I was saying. He said, we don't handle that. We don't do this. And that. So I got the point of like, what do y'all do? He said, oh, we just do high crimes of, I think like tax crimes or something out of he put something. And this from the Attorney General's office, you guys. So I'm saying, some people ask me the question of racism and the way things happen. I do believe it. I just don't say it all the time. I don't say it. I don't make it a big thing about my son's case, because ultimately my goal, I can take it, you guys. I can take it. I can take the racism. I have been dealing with it all my life since a childhood. And so it's easy for me to take, but I don't want anything that cause my son not to get the justice that he deserves. So I can suck that up. I can suck that up very easy. So I try to make sure I'm doing everything I can to make sure I keep the support, I get the essence, get everything I need to do to find my son. Because the ultimate goal for me, I don't care about anything else. I just want to find my son and make sure he's alive and well, and bring him home to myself, my family, his mother, his siblings, and whatever the case may be with Daniel, we'll take care of when that time comes. That's what I'm looking forward to, and that's why I'm fighting for. So the racism part and the way people are, I can accept that myself. Also, are you aware of any other another man who went missing in August of 2021 between Wickenburg and I-40? His name is J.D. Daniels. No, I do not. And it's sad because there's a lot of cases that happens of missing persons that happen in Arizona. I heard of two. I can't tell you the names right now. There's two that I was able to try to go out for the search on to help those families go search. The sad part was, they found that person deceased. But the thing is, you guys, but as in cases that happens all the time, Debbie, there's so many cases that happen so much, and I think I'd be so engrossed really into trying to fight for my son. Sometimes I miss cases. Like I said, this even with the Petito case. And when I first heard about the Petito case, I was so engrossed with trying to get Daniel's case out in the public and really fighting for Daniel. I had people had tapped me, almost literally like tapped me on the shoulder, not really literally, but kind of like tapped me on the shoulder. Hey, Mr. Robinson, have you heard of this case, the Petito case? I'm like, no. No, that's say on the inbox at the time. And then my family started hitting me up about it. Like, hey, you heard about the Petito? I'm like, no. I mean, I wasn't watching the news. You guys, I may have been on the news, but I wasn't watching the news, so I didn't know what was going on. And then I said, well, and first thing I heard when I heard the story, and I actually looked at it on Google it, and I was like, oh my God, here it is, another young lady. I think she was around Daniel's age at the time. Another family going through the same thing we going through. That was painful. But then they said, no, this thing is national. It's going on, and I felt like the family deserved that. At the same time, you guys, I did feel a certain way about that because during that time I was fighting hard. It took me 3 months to get my son's case into a area where people even want to hear about Daniel's case on the news or hear about it on the radio station, hear about it in social media. I had to work day and night. I got no sleep. It took me like 1 hour. I'm lucky if I got 1 hour of sleep every night, being up all night trying to hit celebrities up to whoever. But I was able to get Daniel's platform up at the right time. God, this is all God, you guys. Got his platform up on social media high enough that somebody retweeted something I put up one night and it went viral. That helped out. Also hit up Joy Reid's friends on her page. That friend went to Joy Reid and was able to get me on MSNBC to with this whole thing that happened with the Petito case when they start talking about disparities. I think they call it white woman syndrome, and they picked up Daniel case to show those disparities. I mean, it was crazy. So it was the right timing at the time to get Daniel's case out there, but it was hard work, and it took. I mean, literally took hard. Nobody cared about some geologists went missing in Buckeye, Arizona, the Sonoran Desert out there. I had to literally, guys, I'm telling you, if it was for Josh Sanders and Nicole Griggs in Arizona, these are two reporters who was the first ones that took interest in Daniel case and pitched it. They had to pitch it to their people on those news channels. I guess make it interesting, whatever those reporters do, just for them to say, hey, let's hear this man's story, son's story. I mean, it's way after Daniel went missing, you guys. Hear the story and start putting it locally in Arizona, and so it can get out there. Then we start getting locally. I was pushing hard to try to get it to, like I said, this level of national channels hearing it. I mean, it was hard work, you guys, but it had to be done to get Daniel's case out there. So again, I don't hear about a lot of cases, Debbie, but I tell you what thing is for a fact is that it happens to a lot, and I would like to help every family that I can and share their story. So, Debbie, if you know anything, you know the family, if that person's still missing, they want to come on this channel to talk about the story and get it out there. This is not the biggest platform in the world, but it's what I do. It's what I do is try to help other families as well. And that's what this channel is for me to get Daniel's story out as well as helping other families. So, if you have that information to that family, I would love to invite them here and try to do everything I can to help as well. All right. So also KC, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming out. I'm telling you, I really believe that the Howard Hughes Corporation and the housing developers had everything to do with disappearance. It's all about the water, and I believe those are motives. So in my investigation, not Buckeye, and I can't tell you guys, I really can shame a lot of stuff, and I'd be really careful, you guys, because, and the reason why I'd be careful, because it is a lot of money involved. And you know what happens when a lot of money involved? It's no secret that a lot of people will do criminal things to you and some other things. Because you guys know when I first can y'all imagine look for your loved one in a state you don't know anything about, and you get a death threat. You get death. I had death threats where I had to start carrying. I'm a military guy. I had to do some things in Afghanistan that I had trouble with. You know what I'm saying? The things that we had to do there to survive. And I had trouble with coming out of the military. Didn't want to even carry any weapons anymore because I want to make sure that I, get away from my military career. Just to go back into another desert of Buckeye, Arizona, the Sonoran Desert, just to get death threats. People start threatening me, and hey, it's gonna be bloodshed, all kind of stuff, going through my email, some kind of way. You guys threatening me. Then I had to go back to carrying. People know in Arizona, you see me, they know I was an open carry guy. No matter where I was, an open carry. Just open carry state. I was walking around the street like a cowboy or something, and it's because of death threats. The other part with Daniel, for motive. Sometimes you look for motives and what happened. I tell you guys, there's a lot that I can tell you in the public. You'll be surprised, and I can put it this way in a broad term. You'll be surprised who have money tied, they have interest tied into the money parts. And I'm gonna just be a little more specific. Out of Buckeye, Arizona, who have and I have information of that as well, have ties to the money to the people who's building that area. And like I said, then the motive, you look for a motive of what a person would do to a person because of something. Those are the things I investigate to kind of give a motive in that direction where you're going, KC, of how this can play a part in my son's disappearance, because think about this, you guys. He's the one that go out there to help determine if that groundwater is enough to sustain that community that's going to be built out there. As you guys remember, in Arizona, they had to reduce at least 100 years of water by law. It's a desert state. They use a lot of groundwater, the Colorado River, all that kind of stuff to get water in a desert state. And that they have to have that well to sustain that community. And as we know, hindsight, it does not. But we didn't know at the time. My son went missing. I'm telling you the irony to this. You guys can put two and two together. The irony to the whole story is my son went missing on June 23rd of 2021. The report came out in June 2021. You guys, the report. After my son went missing, the report was there, right? The report was supposed to be there. I remember my son's job was hitting me up hard. There was some reason wanting this paperwork. They wanted stuff out of my son's Jeep. They wanted the paperwork. Hey, can we get those samples that Daniel took from, can you get these samples and this and that, blah, blah. I told him no, it's under investigation. And Mr. McGrath, Jeff McGrath, he better hope that stuff is still there because I told him specifically not to release anything from that Jeep. I don't know what's in that Jeep today. I haven't been in that Jeep, but I'll tell you what, I'm still in possession of that Jeep, but I purposely stay away from it. But the thing is, it better still be there. But the thing is, I'm saying, you guys, what I'm going at is that that report's supposed to come out in June. And the old governor, they got a new governor in Arizona. The old governor was hiding that report, you guys, to the point where ASU, I forgot what department, and some of the other groups there in Arizona was demanding this report. They want to know if that situation can happen out there in that desert. They want to know that about the groundwater because it's affecting Phoenix, Arizona as well. Phoenix is struggling to keep water, and they want to make sure that it's not affecting Phoenix, one of the biggest cities right now. Currently, Buckeye's growing to be the biggest, but right now in Arizona. And so, and the thing is, guess what happened when that governor didn't get reelected, and they had a new governor. The new governor was angry about it and released it. And guess what the date on it for it to be? June, when the same month my son went missing. You guys. So I kind of look at those things, and I was like, you know what, some comparison there, and then I start digging, and then you can find out all the players, who's attached to who, and who got interest in money, tied interest to the money tied into that project. And you'll be surprised when those things get released, you guys. But you'll be surprised in who, and those are the motives and why I feel that certain things and certain players have been moving the way they have been doing from day one when I'm out here fighting for my son. They tried to get me out of there. They tried to get me out of there. You guys, Daniel, Jeep showed up. The next day they told that rancher. He testified. I got him, have him as well. I asked him again. I did a second interview with him recently, and he's still standing on everything. And he said the first thing they told him when they got there to that scene, don't alert the media, because by that time, you guys know I was already going out to the media, trying to get the media. Don't alert the media, and don't alert the family about this. They was hiding whatever they was doing that whole day out there in that desert. They was hiding the information from me. They told me over 24 hours later, the next morning, you guys, that vehicle was found, and gave me that lame story. I ain't gonna go through all of that, but then brought me in that same day, brought me into the department, and then threatened me. If you don't get it out of here, you don't get. Well, I said, sir, I don't want to see this vehicle. I'm just done. I was devastated at the time. Well, you got to get this vehicle out here today. If you don't get it out of here today, we're gonna have a total weigh, and you're gonna pay storage fee. They wanted me to go, and they gave me everything and evidence bad mark for safekeeping, thinking I was gonna go back to South Carolina with my tail between the leg. One of those people that is gonna sit on my hands and say, "Oh, God's gonna bring Daniel back." I'm a person of faith, and the faith is an action word, and I'm a person of action. And I went out and fought even harder for Daniel, and they saw that I didn't go anywhere, and that's why I have the problems I have with the Buckeye Police Department. I just didn't go anywhere. You guys, didn't go anywhere. I had to push them to do the things they had. And then right after that vehicle showed up, and after all this pushing, I had them to do the forensics. After the vehicle being in the compound, do the forensics with a little forensics they did, swabbing the steel wheel and the shifter. That's not no real forensics, guy. That's not real forensics work. First of all, I want to point that out. But they did that, they say. And then they did search after that. I've been pushing. I'm telling you guys. So any little small thing that Buckeye have done, I had to push them. If I would have left them with that back to South Carolina, you guys, as they wanted me to, it would have been a cold case a long time ago. So the thing is, I'm telling you guys, I really, really believe it's all about that too as well. white people understand. We know how it is. I'm so glad that white people aren't keeping quiet about it anymore. And I'm glad, and that's another subject too, Danielle. I always say, just like every person, there was no such thing as race. We already know that. It's created as an invention. But the thing is, um, people have to take care. We all have to be against certain things. You know what I'm saying? If people say they stand for something, then we all should be standing for it. If you're gonna stand for right, we all got to stand for right. And if you, that's like I'm telling you, example I had something I had to fill out the other day, and I do it all the time, you guys. And you guys need to practice that as well. If they ever give you something you fill out, and you have to go through the thing about race, what color are you? What race are you? They put what race or whatever. I always put human. I don't say black. I say human. And don't get me wrong, I identify as a black man. I am a black male, but I don't. For their sake, I just say human because sometimes that those ways they try to just separate people based on class and everything else. We can go through that some other time. But they pin all poor people. You got poor white people, you got poor black people. They're pinning us up against each other, and the way they do it is through race and through that word invention race. So yeah, we all poor while they're up there in the top rich, for instance. I'm using an example. There's a pin you up against each other, so they can keep what they got. And so that's the kind of thing, because if you got a whole bunch of poor people fussing about the same thing, things will get changed. But anyway, that's another subject I want to get into. But thank you, Danielle, for that comment. Your family, thank you so much for the comment as well. Your family sound amazing. I truly appreciate you. I see everything. Thank you so much. And Debbie, and I agree with you. I wouldn't paint the whole entire state of Arizona as as a racist. No, I just know it's bad actors everywhere, even here in South Carolina. There are racist people there, it's everywhere, guys. And what I'm saying is, you have certain areas more prevalent to racism. I noticed for Arizona, the further west you go, the more racist or racism you encounter. And going out towards Buckeye is going out west. And we start heading out west before you get to California, you run into a lot of, but you start coming back east and you go through Phoenix, it get less racist in the metropolitan Phoenix area, and then you kind of gravitate. So the concentration of people depends on where you're at, tend to change. That's what I'm saying. So I would say no. I wouldn't paint the whole state of Arizona broadly and say every white person in Arizona is racist or something. No, that's not true. I've seen the most, and this is the crazy part about it. Out of Buckeye, Arizona, I've seen the most loving, kind people who don't care about what color you are. I have one guy. He said, he did this on CNN thing. He said, I can't imagine what that man is going through. He didn't see any color or anything like that when it comes to, everybody see color, but he didn't see me as different from if his son went missing, for instance. So any man would do what I'm doing, no matter what color you are, what race you are, and everybody. Like I said, I dealt with a lot of people, even on the other side, that would come out a few times out to the search, and I think they didn't support anymore because I'm out there calling everybody my family, which they are. Everybody who came out to that search out there, we are family. We're grassroots. We're family. Like I said, I've been out there in the search. I've been out there in the desert, 118 degrees, with people I don't know. And each last one of them, guys, when we sit in that huddle, we pray and we sit together. And before we go out in the search, and we're doing a safety briefing to whatever, I have never seen so much love that I have in a long time that I have seen with everybody who came out there in that search out there with me. So I promise you, you cannot paint the whole entire state as some racist state. No, I'm just saying there's some racist actors out there, and I had to deal with that in Arizona. I see some racist elements that goes on in my son's case and the way they're handling it and things like that. So they're out there. Like I told you, like I expressed, I say the whole military is racist, but we had some racist elements in there. We also had gang members, like I said, you guys, and it was there. Trust me, I have one. He's a skinhead. I didn't know at the time, but he and I would. We both are Aries, and we both would sit there and laugh and joke in the child hall, and people didn't understand our conversation because we had this click, right? Really close brother of mine. When we got out of the military, he came on my social media platform and called Michelle Obama a monkey, and then and made me look at his page, and I saw the racist elements that he attached himself to. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the same guy I was breaking bread with in the military. We had each other's back, but he's actually a skinhead. So I'm saying the thing is, so it's out there. Those things are out there. Those elements out there. The people out there. So you got to be careful. But what I'm saying is, Debbie, I agree with you. You cannot paint everybody as being racist because it's not true. I think we have less people racist than we have more people racist in this country. But that's the point is being made. I think that everybody needs to fight against those forces. Everybody should be doing that together. Um, KC, thanks so much for being here. Was the man who last saw him the day he went missing ever interview any further? I doubt it. You know, you don't see anything in the police report. They probably put it in. They watch this. They listen to my Q&As and everything I send. I promise if I get a timeline, I can show you how the Buckeye Police been writing their report. But they'll go back and do some things like when I was fussing about this well that looked like a skull at the bottom. They finally went in there and pulled things out, but I still have questions about that. But the thing is, they move on my actions and what I do and what you guys do as well. But as when it comes to the interview of that guy, only thing I ever heard from the Buckeye Police is he said this, and that's it. Yeah, because the guys, what would have prompted them to question this guy a lot further and really pull his cell phone pings and all this kind of stuff, his cell phone records, if they really want to know what happened to Daniel, is because of his inconsistencies in his story. He changed the story. He told the first officer one thing, the second officer the next thing. His timeline don't matches with what happened to Daniel's phone. It don't even matches with this new thing that Buckeye came out with, an app that's inaccurate app. That I talked to the owner. I one gave Buckeye that information about this app, but they use it against that. They use when I say against the truth. They use this app to use it as a basis to say Daniel was at that in that ravine at 10 something, I think it was in the morning. They use that inaccurate app. The owner will tell you in the face, hey, don't use our app, it's inaccurate. They don't record everything. They doing it anyway for you guys because they really want to pin Daniel was in that ravine for 30 days. That vehicle was there for 30 days. But what I'm saying is they have not gone and interviewed this guy. They took his word for the one would say as the gospel. He said it, we believe it. The same time, you guys, I showed y'all the video and I showed y'all actually the pictures when I first came to Arizona, days after you guys. And first thing I did when I got there is talk to Ken. I went up there with my daughter and another person and as witnesses, and I had a custodial word I want to use, but I wrote notes right that day. Had a pen, I had the pictures and everything. You can see this stuff. Wrote notes every word this man said to me. And I told the law enforcement all the changes that he said in his story when he came to say he stayed left of the tracks. First he said is that I know this thing's going to get big and it's going to become national. The police going to come looking and it's going to go national, right? And he said all these things, pre-said these things. He knew that Daniel case was going to go to a national level. He knew the police was going to. Why would you say that? The other parties, I'm staying left of the track so I didn't disturb. There's no way you could do that on a trail where he was at. Stay left of the tracks to not disturb them because I know the police will come look and this thing will go national. And so the opposite of the story was that he was saying, oh yeah, he stayed left to it. And then if you listen to the whole story, it would take you to that ravine. So that's the irony to put that part. The story that he gave me and I gave the Buckeye what he said to me, it would take you to that ravine area, real close to it. But Buckeye Police to this day, do you guys look in that report and even hear what I said to the Buckeye Police Department? They put everything else. They put in their. I'm telling you how they sensationalized my son came and it's an attack. That's what I'm saying. This thing gonna come against Buckeye in the future, but it's an attack on me personally. They put something in their report to say, Mr. McGrath said this about. I don't think that he should be doing this about. I'm like, what I got to do with my son missing? It was a way to tarnish who I am as a person, as a father. It was a way to make you guys question my credibility of who I am as a father. And that was a personal attack, you guys. They put that in their report. Think about this, trying to defend themselves. They put that in the report, but did not put what I had to say the 2 days after my son, 2 days after my son went missing. and what we had notes and witnesses that said this guy said this, and what the response was that day. That's what he said. Yes, and you don't hear nothing else about it. No, nobody ever been in the interrogation room. You don't hear nothing them bringing nobody in. They brought me and my daughter in, called us down to the police department, say, hey, we want to see if we can get some information about his bank statement and his phone record, And we came down to the police department. They ain't let us in the front door. They had us go around the side of the building and through a gate, park in the back, and brought us in the back door, guys. Not in the front of the department, the back of the department, and put us in an interrogation room. I had never in my life been in an interrogation room to the Buckeye Police Department. I never did a crime to warrant me to ever go, and now I have a tarnished life. I can't never say I never been in an interrogation room. For what reason? They put us in an interrogation room and they had us sit there. We had to literally sit there, you guys. And that's when my daughter came up with this thing. Hey, I remember one time he came over and he was standing up. That was weeks before he went missing. What they got to do with him being missing? He was staring off at the wall. I stare off the wall. Matter of fact, I might stare off the wall today. They used that as bait. They was trying to find anything, because the first thing they asked, can you think of anything, you guys, that would say that he was down or depressed, or something seemed strange or odd? Anything. And no. We sat there for a while, probably 15 so minutes or something. And then we came up with that. My daughter came up with that. So I'm saying, you guys, it's one of those things that I look back at and say, you know what? It felt like a setup, because the whole narrative of the Buckeye Police Department is to try to pin my son as this unstable guy. They sensationalized about some woman that he never ever said he was in love with, and lied on me and my daughter. Or the father said that he was in love with a woman he didn't know. That pisses me off, you guys. Never said out of my mouth. The other part is, they just keep on bringing unnecessary things in my son's case. They let a lady upload, and I'm gonna tell you the ironicity to this part. I'm gonna tell you the reason why they haven't done it, you guys, because they know they are falsifying report. It's ironic how they went to Caitlin, the young lady that we all know, and a couple things, you guys. My son, if you're gonna hear in this recording when I release it to you guys, my son described 2 women that night he spent the night with. He been intimate with the one, Caitlin, according to my son, and the other one was there. Where's this woman's testimony? Who is she? She was there. What's her take on this whole thing? Nothing for the buck. The much as I asked about it. The other part is, why would an officer go to a woman's house without having a cell phone? It didn't even exist yet. And when I say exist, it wasn't part of the case. The phone was missing, Daniel was missing, everything was missing. But then you go into a woman and you say, this woman's text messages said this, and Daniel was doing this, and I told her, if we got a law about stalking or something, trying to make my son like he's some kind of stalker, he's an unstable guy. They were setting him up, you guys. They sat there and come up with concocting something, in my opinion, because it don't make sense to me. They had to put the lady story. They didn't put that information in their report themselves. They had her to updated herself to evidence.com. I think her thing is she uploaded her own text messages that, if you look at it, guys, it has timestamps, and then after a while it become non-timestamp. He said this, she said this, he said this. I'm like, where the timestamp? It don't even look right. But they had her to upload this to their department. They put it in their report. They put in their report and say, yeah, and this goes along with what the daddy said. He's in love with a woman he didn't know, and this goes along with the daughter said he was acting like, and the people said this. I mean, why they want my son to look like he's crazy somehow or have some depression or something? When a man who had plans to go out the weekend with his sister that weekend, he had plans that was going to be out there in July to see the vehicle for the first time. He just finished, it really happened 2 days before he went missing, just finished building his computer that he was very proud of. All of that stuff going on at the same time, and they try to say he's depressed and down about something. And let this lady upload a thing. But the ironically part, when I was complaining, I was going to say the other word, but I was complaining about that here on the social media platform, you guys. If you guys watch and you pay attention to that, they all of a sudden came in this new report. Now, they got a bunch of new reports. I got each and every last one of them too, guys. I'm going to pin those up against each other too, because you see them change whole paragraphs. They changed what they said before, and all of a sudden adding all this old, long, extravagant things. But when they first put in their report, they put her stuff up there. But then when you see on this new report, you do not see any text. They say, oh, we found some deleted text messages. Now, because I'm gonna tell you the funny part about it. If you look into any phone of yours as well, you put it in your trash folder and you see what the phone will tell you. It is permanently destroyed after 30 days. I beg to differ with the law enforcement, because if they didn't have a warrant to go in they violated my son's civil rights. First of all, they didn't tell me about they had some kind of technology to go back and get deleted stuff out of deleted folder that was permanent deleted, right? First of all, so if they did all of that without a warrant, they violated his civil rights. The other part is, if that was so true, where is it not listed to show everybody that it matches on what she said on that? Because they can't. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why, you guys, because I have my son's phone records. And I promise you guys, those text messages that she put there do not match the timestamp on the phone records. Not everything. And there's some things missing that she said, obviously. And we don't know the words. We can't see the words. We don't know really what's going on. But that's the way the Buckeye Police Department wanted to approach my son's case and tarnish. I'm telling you, it's so damaged, you guys, from the Buckeye Police Department. And that's the reason why I'm trying so hard to get my son's case moved, because it needed to be. It's very important to do so. But anyway, I went off on a little tangent on that part, you guys, because it makes me upset a lot when I have to actually deal with the reality of my son's case. But Sunset, thanks so much for being here. Salty Sage, trying to spread awareness about this case. God bless you, Mr. Robinson. Thank you so much, Sunset. I really appreciate that. I really, truly appreciate that. Let me see if I can find any questions here. If you guys have any questions, I'm about to get off. I realize that it's an hour, 30 minutes. I was planning to do 45 minutes, you guys. I didn't plan to be on this long, because I have a lot of things I do in a day, and just wanted to get on really quick and just put some information about Daniel and then jump off. So, and let's see here. Okay. And you right on top, Debbie. I was going to throw this up there because I seen this comment. There's going to be an election for Maricopa County Sheriff coming up, and I was waiting on that. If he wants to get reelected, he needs to get something done, and he does. And I'm not. I never ever want to threaten Sheriff Zone, because I hope he can help. But one thing I can say, he gonna have a lot of noise, and the protest that I'm going to be doing is going to happen around election time. I'm gonna purposely do that, and I'm telling you the reason why. Because I've been trying to work with Maricopa County for a long time now. The liaison between me and Maricopa County don't talk anymore. The fact that my son went missing in Maricopa County Maricopa County. I'm going to say, excuse me, God. He went missing in Maricopa County, and Sheriff Zone has some jurisdictional responsibility to my son's case. He has a jurisdiction that's supersedes the Buckeye Police Department when they're doing something wrong and the family's not satisfied with their work and not comfortable with them. He has a responsibility to take on my son's case, and he refusing to. I have tried thousands and hundreds, seem like hundreds of times, trying to get Maricopa County to take these forensics off my hand. They would not do it. I had to resort to going to the Tempe Police Department and have them to do, which they didn't want to do everything. They agreed to do just the forensics on the electronics, Daniel's computer, and etc. I didn't want them to share anything with the Buckeye Police Department, but they end up doing that. I have that report, but they end up sharing that report with the Buckeye Police Department, which turned around and put in a report as if they somehow got the forensics done on electronics. That's just them again trying to build their credibility up. The other part is Sheriff Zone. After that, part of that agreement I had, and I'm going to throw it out there. Part of the agreement I had with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office when I had the protest coming up was to get my son forensics. And that was all of it at the time. Get my son forensics and do proper forensics on my son's things, being that he have some jurisdictional responsibilities to my son's case. That was the agreement, right? They did not do so. They just did a search that they bolstered for the Buckeye Police Department just to make them look good. That's a slap in my face, basically, you guys. It wasn't more motivated to go help find my son. It was motivated to make Buckeye look good, and then still to this day refuse to take the forensics off my hands. These are forensics that may determine what happened to my son, who did it, and why. And the police department right now to this day is refusing to find those answers. You ain't gonna find no answers off of swabbing of a steering wheel and a shifter. Who knows somebody had my son at gunpoint, sitting in the passenger side, and the airbags on that side hit them, got their DNA all over it, and they refusing to do the forensics on these airbags, on the red transfer paint where my son's vehicle came in contact with, to the clothing on the ground that my family and I do not identify, even as Daniel's. Nobody can verify that. Even the guy who claimed he seen Daniel last couldn't verify that Daniel's clothes on the ground. But yet we want to believe the Buckeye Police Department and say, yeah, like they got ESP or something. Say, yeah, that's his clothes, without doing forensics or even, asking the family. Just pinning on Daniel or something. So what I'm looking at, you guys, is the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. Yes, Debbie, that would be the time where I would be pushing very hard to do multiple protests and really point out those things I was just saying, you guys. That is not a trustworthy department that would do that. Would sit me in the office. The guy would take off a rosary off his neck. Sheriff's Zone took a rosary off his neck and handed it to me and said, "Look, me and my wife, and that's the first time. I'll be honest with you guys. That's the first time I ever heard law enforcement show empathy in Arizona." And he took that off the neck and he gave it to me and said, "I want you to keep this." And he said, "Look, me and my wife is praying for you. My condolences. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do everything I can to help you find your son." Right? Thank you, sir. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And then when I asked him up on those things, he only thing he have done so far is bolster Buckeye with the search that they claiming for them. Right? So I'm saying, you guys, I don't like that. I don't like that. I'm really trying to be nice about it and really believe the guy, because that's the first time somebody in law enforcement, Buckeye haven't. Buckeye ain't show no empathy. Nobody else say, "Oh, I'm sorry, your son was missing." I went to the city council, the mayor of Buckeye. No, I mean, these people are stoned. That doggone city council. I mean, that was straight racism to me. Those stone faced people up there, man, they didn't want me in their building. I could tell. I went up there twice. Stone faced. Not one time had any empathy about my son's case. Though I had national attention, though hundreds of volunteers out there, their people on their ground in Buckeye, finding other human remains, even with Maricopa County Sheriff's Office closing the case for them. I found a stolen vehicle they've been looking for out there in the desert. And the thing is, no thank you, no condolences, no nothing come out of Buckeye Police Department or the city council, the mayor, the vice mayor, the city manager, all of them sitting there. All of them. Stone-faced people, hateful. And I know that language. I know that body language oh too well. Again, you guys, I've been through it all my life. I know the language of racist people. I know the language, body language of the way they are when it comes to smiling your face, but all the time want to take your place, backstabber type deal. Yes, I understand that oh too well. Something, again, my children at the time, because of the way we raised them, would not identify. One thing is, but yes, if you want to get reelected, I'm not threatening his reelection. I'm threatening the fact that when his reelection coming up, he'll hear a lot of noise from me. KC, thanks so much. Man is only good as the word he stands behind. His own is lying as. Yes. And and that's the thing. And I just want him to keep his word. And guys, I'm telling you, it's not. I had to pay for the stuff every month. I had to pay for forensics, guys. Think about it. Don't you know forensics should be in an evidence locker somewhere, processed and all that kind of stuff. I'm holding that stuff, a civilian, a person, a family, holding that stuff. Law enforcement didn't even ask me for it. And and then you got then I got the vehicle. I pay for that. You think it's cheap? It's not cheap. I'm not a person who got tax money coming in every day or whatever they get from their city managers and stuff. Taxpayer money. You know what? I'm a retired military guy. Living off of retirement, you guys. So I'm saying is, why should I be paying for holding forensics and probably not even storing it the correct way, but trying to? I had to go do research on how to store forensics, right? And luckily, the place where I have my son's vehicle is designed for storing things like that for insurance purposes, for insurance companies or whatever. So they know how to store that stuff for the vehicle. That's no problem. But the other things, you guys, the way I have to store these things. So I'm saying, you guys, and that's all on the police department in Arizona, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Buckeye Police Department, which the Buckeye Police Department is literally just holding Daniel's case hostage because it would look horrible on them when they know they got to admit that they messed up. If I want other words, colorful words I would love to use, they messed up and refusing to give Daniel's case over to another department that actually could find out what happened to my son, who's more qualified and who got the most resources. And this father's fighting with national attention and everything else, and they refusing to let my son's case go. That's hostage, holding my son's case hostage. And they're gonna have to pay for that too, you guys. I'm just letting Buckeye dig themselves in a grave, man. They dig themselves deeper and deeper to stuff with the lies and the deceit and everything else, you guys. I'm just letting them keep doing it. And is a time gonna come, a reckoning time gonna come, and they're gonna receive that. Let me see here. Let's see. Debbie, thank you so much. I'll send a message. I thought it was crazy that JD disappeared. Also in the desert out there. That's Yavapai, I guess. County sheriff supposedly searched the two and searched, and 2 years later, just this summer, some friend of JD's found what they believe is his sweatshirt out there. And I'll tell you something, and that's sad. You said it's like 2 years later, they found something that they believe is his, right? And when a person go missing, it's two things. I'll tell you how. Can you explain this, you guys? I'm gonna tell you the dedication. That's what I'm saying. When somebody say is you can't paint the whole state of Arizona as racist, no, I can't. You can't. You can't even paint the people, majority of the people there, as racist either. Um, it's another thing when you say about law enforcement. It's the way they approach it and how they feel about a case. Because it's two things. I use this analogy a lot, and those who've been on this channel can hear me and say, hey, look, I heard this before, and I'm going to use it again. If somebody say, Mr. Robinson, can you go in the kitchen and look in the first cabinet and get that that jar of grape jelly? See if you can find that jar of grape jelly and bring it to me. Yeah, sure, I get it. Go in the cabinet. I open it up. I see a whole bunch of stuff in there. A lot of grape jelly, a lot of cans, a lot of this, whatever. And I was kind of glance over, I look at it, and I shut it back up, and I go to the person. I say, you know what? No, I didn't see it. It's not there. Is it not there because I didn't see it, or is it not there because I didn't go look for it? And technically, I could say, yes, I went to go look for it, and I didn't see it. But really, I didn't go look for it. And that's the way law enforcement approaches these cases. Because if I would have moved those cans around and things I saw in there around, I probably would have found that grape jelly sitting there in that cabinet. But I didn't. But I can technically write on a piece of paper, which is a police report. I went out there and searched, right? That's word games, you guys. And like I was saying, the Buckeye Police Department have a lot of word games. Don't you know they claim they did these searches? They claim they did a search. They say in 2 days, it was 3 days after Daniel went missing. They went out there with a helicopter search that's still unfounded, but they claim they did this helicopter search. The Phoenix Firebird helicopter flew over the area, right? Where the vehicle eventually going to be found 30 days later. Then they did a search with Civil Air Patrol on the ground, literally drove over this area and had an airplane fly directly over this area. Did not find Daniel's vehicle or him or anything else. And then after that, you guys, while that's going on, I have my own searches also before they did these searches. Where after this so-called Phoenix Firebird, I've been having my searches going on, foot searches, volunteers flying all across that area. No vehicle was out there, right? Then all of a sudden, when the vehicle showed up, the rancher who found the vehicle say, I was right here in this spot, in this ravine 2 days prior, and it wasn't there. Still wasn't there, right? Nobody said it wasn't there. I mean, he literally said, I was literally right here, looking in the ravine with my own 2 eyes, me and some other guy, and it wasn't here, right? But he found it that day. And to this day, the Buckeye Police Department, with this inaccurate app that the owners could tell you, would try to put Daniel vehicle in there. And they know what the excuse was? The excuse was it was so much, the terrain is so thick, we just missed it. Like, then I'm telling you guys, I show you guys the pictures that the Buckeye Police Department furnished to me, everything. Because when I meet, I got to record a meeting with them too. I record everything. Had the NAACP, Lionel, there in that listening, and they literally gave me every picture they said they had. Right, this is what they told me, and they gave it to me. And if you look at their own footage, which is drone footage, ain't no helicopter footage. There ain't no existing of helicopter footage because according to the rancher, that wasn't true either. But they took a picture with their own drone footage, and you look at it from, I would say about 1,200 feet in the air, and you tell me why you would have been able to miss that with that clearing, and the vehicle is blue, metallic blue, you guys, and you trying to tell me if it was there, you just somehow missed it. It's impossible. Impossible. Ain't nothing else blue in the desert. So the whole story, you guys, is a bunch of craziness. And then on top of that, you guys, we already know how the vehicle was found. We know there's 4 to 6 initial cycles on that vehicle after the vehicle crash. After the airbags deployed, somebody was cranking it up 4 to 6 times. 46, 4-6, you guys, 46 times. The Buckeye Police Department actually wants you guys to believe that Daniel is a superhero. He defies logic. He defies science. He sat in that vehicle after he rolled, twist, and sustained no injuries now. The roof wasn't caved in, all that. He must have some kind of shield. And the vehicle twisted, rolled, and fell in that ravine, 20 foot down in that ravine, landed on the side. And he sat there in the driver's seat and cranked it up 4 to 6 times while sitting on the side, lying on the passenger side. That's physically impossible. And they claiming that's exactly what happened. They forcing that to happen. Then they said with his superhuman strength, as you guys know, I gave you videos about that sunroof. It's not a sunroof that most of you may have in your cars or things where you got a glass, infinity sunroof and all that. You got this glass there and the glass roll back. No, those Jeeps are not made like they have panels. These metal panels. And you have to have a special to get that panel off. If you want that whole panel taken off, you have a special key sitting behind the in the back where the tire goes, back that area where you have to take out of there and you have to use this key to get that panel off. They want y'all to believe after a whole big injury or hospital got to be injured. I've seen worse accidents, a lighter accident than that when people die. And they were saying the vehicle rolled and all that down this ravine. And Daniel somehow, superhero again, you guys, kicked his way out of the sunroof. He kicked his way out of the sunroof, and that's how he got out, right? With the superhuman strength, he kicked his panel out. The one that got to be used by, got to be opened by this key, the special key they got to take that panel off. It's metal. And so, long story short, you guys, it's a whole bunch of hogwash that I laugh because that's the word I've had to use that has came up for me saying other things. But there's a bunch of stuff, man, that the Buckeye Police was still trying to overcome. And they overcoming this very well with the media. They're overcoming this very well with what people got to say to the public, image of themselves trying to put. That's why they released a report. Oh, according to the public interest, after they revamped it with their attorneys and everybody who rewritten it and put us and sensationalized my son's case, then we're going to serve to the public, showed us and they spread it all out. Man, I'm telling you, they're digging themselves in the grave. That's what they're doing. And the thing is, after all of that, you guys, we still come back to the same point. If you guys ask the question like, Mr. Robinson, without my effort, let's ignore all the stuff that I found out. The 46 in this cycle, all that stuff came from my efforts. It came from my money, the money that I paid for a private investigator. It came from things that I found myself. The human remains that we found out came from my efforts, saying things like that. Nothing came from law enforcement, you guys. So what I'm saying is, you guys, if you want to say, if let's say we ignored all of that, none of that happened, and you said to the police department, what answers do you have that get you closer? And they'll say, we proved that what we had said from day one. His vehicle was there for 30 days. Ha ha ha. And they put you back to zero. They put me and my family. Me and my family was back in South Carolina, and we asked that question. Said, well, we found information that his vehicle was there for 30 days in this ravine. And we had to believe them. We would have had to believe that if I was back in South Carolina, never came out to Arizona. You guys, I would have had to believe that BS. I would have had to believe that, and I don't. So the thing is, I'm saying, you guys, if you look at the answer to that question I asked would be to this date, someone would say, well, that means you came up with nothing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how's that anything that bringing closer to answers to what may happen to my son? I promise you guys, everything you know that gives us information, the time the accident happened, this, that, blah, blah, came from my efforts. Buckeye, it didn't come from the police department. They didn't even try to find it. We had to get the information they got about that stuff. We gave it to them. That's why Mr. Farmer, he used to always argue with the Tempe Police Department as well as Sheriff Zone and some of the other law enforcement agencies that we dealt with. And we tell them, Buckeye is lying to you guys. So every time they go to these departments, these other departments say, we did this, they naming all the things that I gave them. They naming all the things that I have done myself as a father. And I say, well, sometimes I just say to myself, like, they might be right. The FBI, if they say the FBI said this, the FBI might be right. I am doing a better job than what the FBI can do. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously, I'm damn sure doing a better job than what Buckeye is doing by myself. And I'm a father. Never had a experience of doing investigation on my own. Never had to go out and organize a search with hundreds of people I don't know. Organizing that, organizing and creating a city search, organizing and creating a flyer distribution. You know what I'm saying? Organizing and doing my own, following my own leads and going do this. There's so much, you guys. I didn't never have to do it, but I was led by God. I can tell you that, guys. I have somebody better than law enforcement. So, you know, but the thing is, I'm saying, you guys. So I got a lot that I can't say, and one day you guys gonna hear me express a lot more than this. But let's see here. Thanks so much, Jay. Danielle, dang, I have to leave, but you're always in my thoughts and prayers. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I understand you guys, everybody on a work day right now. And I'm just talking in the midday. You guys who cannot stay, you can, listen to this later. I'm sorry that the video feed left out on me. So you guys can't see me moving around, move my hands around, but I am moving. I'm so proud of you and everything you're doing. Thank you so much. I started with Daniel, but it's helping a much needed light. Yes, yes. And thank you so much for your support. I truly appreciate it. Thank you, Esther, again for being here. The water support date was June 2021. Maybe the results of Daniel report threatened the big bill. They had that back. Yes, and it did came out in that same month. And so, there's a lot of questions there. But I have a question here with Willie. Thanks so much, Willie, for coming on. And thanks for the question. Is there damage on the inside of the Jeep's roof where the sun roof piece was removed? Could you reach the hard hat full of water from the sunroof hole? And it's funny. I'm really trying to understand how to answer that question that you have, Willie. The damage on the inside of the Jeep, I only can go by pictures and what Mr. McGrath told me, you guys. And I have to. I'm gonna tell you the reason why. Because I purposely stay away from that vehicle because I don't want any law enforcement. Buckeye damaged the chain of custody in my son's case, and I don't want to further damage anything in my son's case. If I got to find any kind of justice for my son, I'm trying to do everything I can to find justice for my son, and that includes me not having messing with any kind of integrity that a little that I have left to try to help get answers for my son's case. So I only can go by what Mr. McGrath gave me. He gave me extensive pictures of that. And I don't see anything. He didn't ever mention anything about damage on the inside of the Jeep's roof. I can't say where that panel came out, the locker mechanism, it do appear to be busted. I can't tell if it was somebody actually went in and did that or what the case may be. And so it do kind of look busted. That comes from what I saw on the ground. Saying the piece of it is actually lying on the ground. But the hard hat full of water. And now it's a couple questions you guys have to answer yourself. I'm saying the Buckeye Police Department really love to defy logic and common sense. If you're a real detective, you use common sense too, along with your detective work. And the thing is, you guys, that hard hat was in the back seat. It was in the back seat of the vehicle, turned over when the vehicle was lying on, says near the back seat near where the sunroof would be in the center, but it's in the back seat. So the angle, I'm saying, even at an angle of the weight of water, if I could have the picture up, I wish I could, you guys. The angle of where rain could come down into that vehicle raining. If it rained for 30 days and 30 nights. The way that rain angle come down in there, it would have been impossible for that rain to get in inside that vehicle to fill up that hard hat in the area was, because there was no opening where the hard hat was lying at, you guys. So it had to be in the proximity where the rain was actually coming through that window and landing inside that hat. And it's impossible because it's in the back. The other part is there's only one window that was busted out, only one glass in that entire vehicle after a roll, you guys, they claiming it happened. After a roll, which it hadn't rolled because there's no roof damage. We do know there's no roof damage at the top with the bike racks or whatever. There's no scratch, no dents, no nothing. And we seen the place where I stored Daniel's vehicle. Trust me, guys, the guy, he don't even believe the story, and he see these things every day. He said, look, rollovers, that vehicle, the rollover would have crushed the roof in because of the weight of the vehicle. But long story short, there's no roof damage, never crushed in. The roof is intact. The integrity, I'm saying, is not pressed down like that. So that's another thing. But the other part is, like I said, there's only one window broken out in the entire vehicle, and that's the driver's door, right? Couple things my investigator noticed. That's why we don't believe the accident happened there too. You don't hear about this because the Buckeye Police Department don't want you guys to hear about that. But the thing is, there's little to no glass in that vehicle, little to zero. And the little tiny piece, I'm sure, came from the little fragment that was busted around before that finally, when they put it to the side, like light on the side that it's on, a little pieces, you guys might can see a little scattered little tiny little pieces here and there. This is entire glass, right? No glass in the vehicle, none. If something had hit it from the outside, it would push the glass in. The glass was, according to my investigator, was more with the door open. It was hit back the other way. But the thing is, it was busted out a different way. It wasn't busting out. It was busted out with the door open. I'll just put it that way. The other part is the glass that was on the ground. Guys, if you guys seen it before, everybody, and I'll be honest with you guys, it's crazy because people was coming out there in the desert to get souvenirs. I mean, believe it or not, they're going to that crime scene and collecting glass and put in their pockets, whatever they're doing with it, to say they had a piece of the crime scene, I guess. I don't know. But before that all happened, when I first saw it, that glass that was on that ground, it's not full of the shape of that that door, that driver's side door. But could you imagine a vehicle flipping and rolling and the glass land on the ground in a perfect square-like shape? Could you imagine that? Wouldn't that glass be scattered all over the place? You wouldn't even see no glass condensely and put in. It's almost like somebody took a glass that's shaped like that, put it on the ground, and start chopping it with a hammer or something to make it appear the glass came out right there or something. I don't know. Like somebody cut it out and then it flew out or something and landed right there on the ground. And that's exactly what that glass looked like. So I know that glass didn't come from Daniel's vehicle. The other part is, again, go back to the hard hat, Willie. The hard hat, like I said, is sitting on the back end. That vehicle front window as well. The door is the only way the rain would have came straight down into that vehicle. A few things. You saying to me that somehow the hard hat filled with water, but the vehicle didn't, with that much water. You know, then when I started saying that a lot on social media, when they came out, Buck, I tell you, they watch this stuff. They started watching my lives here. They came out later and said, we had evidence of water damage in the vehicle. Where? I'm telling you guys, if you see the pictures, you see, guys, if you see the pictures, you understand what I'm talking about. The other part is, um, the vehicle is lying across. It looks flat on the pictures, you guys, but it's lying across the 20-foot ravine, and there's a wash that goes right up under it. I forgot the other word I want to use, but it runs right under the vehicle, right? And a lot of water runs down through that wash. A lot of water. If it rained the way they said it did, heavy rain. Trust me, in the desert, you don't want to be out there because you get flash floodings, and that water come at you so fast it will sweep you away. And that ravine, according to the rancher who owned the lands out there, and he tell you, I'm a fourth. He proud of it. I'm fourth generation cattle rancher, and he'll tell you, he said, I've been raised out here. I know everything about this desert. He'll tell you, and he told me, hey, look, he said that ravine right there, like when it rains hard, a lot of water comes down through there, and that vehicle sitting across that ravine like that, it would have been like a dam. Because he's right. Because as long as I've been out of the desert for 49 weeks, I noticed after rain, volunteers always ask me, Mr. Robbins, what's that? You see these sticks and twigs pinned up against a tree, like between two trees, and they pile up. And I say that's because the water was running through here, and the trees become like a strainer, and they stop those because when it rains so dry in the desert, when it rains hard like that, those twigs and stuff from the cactus and those cactus plants and all that breaks off, and it travels in the water, and it gets stuck going down the ravines. It gets stuck and build up like a dam, right? And he's right. He said that vehicle would be in the same way. You don't see that on that vehicle. You don't see no rings. You don't see no trash up in there. It's clear. It's wide open because it didn't rain. He said, first of all, it didn't rain here. That's his opinion. He live out there. Hey, it wasn't raining like that. No matter what Buckeye's saying. The other part is, it would have been that vehicle would have acted as a dam to stop the water. And it would have been a ring around it, and it would have been trash debris. You wouldn't be able to see clear daylight straight, but you could crawl up under it or something. It would have never happened in a million years. So there's a lot of things, against science, you guys. Science defy everything the Buckeye Police Department is sharing with the public and try to put it as and pin things and try to reach for straws, going through a Mile IQ app and bringing these things that don't even exist, inaccurate stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, we're gonna work all that out. But that's the question about the hard hat I can come close to is the position of that hard hat. It would have been impossible to fill that much water. And then the business card, I can't tell you guys, I did the project of trying to see if the business card could sustain its integrity. I'm telling you what I got. I'm going to share the result too. I did a test with a business card and put it in the water for that length of time for 30 days. And I can tell you my results, and I'll show you the videos of that one day. And I'm tell you the reason why I'm doing it for a second time. It's a couple things. You got to look at what type of card it is, how the card was made, what kind of material they use. If you use different cards, you can see the different results. And I can tell you each of those cards, though, is all results in one thing that's for sure. It's the separation of the bottom half of that card and the middle. Believe it or not, those two pieces that they print, it's like those two are stuck together to make one card. So after 30 days, they start separating. Those two parts are separated. But if you look at that card that's in that hat, it did not separate because, again, it wasn't there for 30 days. But anyway, let's see here. And that's called investigative work. That's what I do. I'm a scientist. My children are scientists. They come from a science family, and we look at things from a science perspective. I'm not perfect because I didn't have no college degree of science, but that's where my brain worked. You guys, I'm a computer engineer major, but I think of science and I love science. I think of things in terms of science and common sense. Like I said, so far what I'm talking about. Question: is there any movement yet on Demon? This is a criminal case. No, and I've been fighting for that a while. But it's kind of ironic to me that Buckeye claiming they got went through Daniel's phone. Like I said, and they claim to me you can't get a warrant unless it's a criminal case. So unless they made a criminal case without me without saying something, as far as I know, it's not a criminal case. They never came to public said it's now a criminal case to the public because the public is asking. And if they did anything outside of warrant, they're gonna get that's a lawsuit. I'll just put it that way. They violated my son's civil rights. But we will see. Let's see. He also said that let's see. I want to ask this question. I don't know this question, Esther. He also said after a while, when Daniel couldn't be contacted by work or family, he went searching for Daniel. Even though Daniel's family wasn't made aware he was missing till later that day, and that's true. It's a couple of things. So you guys got to ask these questions. How likely? I can't say a person don't do some stupid stuff, but how likely would a person who claimed that he was acting odd and he was acting strange, and I try to look into his eyes, like you trying to look in the person's eyes, you was that concerned, you're trying to look at the person's eyes, see if they something wrong and this and that and blah blah blah, right? Person waved out to you and drove off, and then you say, "Oh, you called his job and tell him what was going on or whatever." It is I'm gonna tell you the contradictory part of this. Guy, see what Buckeye's saying too. They're saying Daniel vehicle was in there at 10 o'clock. The first phone call that Daniel got from he was there at 9, right? And Daniel drove off. Who to say Daniel was missing? I mean, so if you think about it, Ken said because time on the report he said something about they go to lunch and sometimes workers, it's not unusual workers go, which is true because I talked to Daniel a lot. He'd go wherever he had a job site. If there's a restaurant somewhere, they can take a little break. He'll leave the site, go get something to eat, and come back, right? And so he claiming that he assumed that he probably did something like that. Now you trying to tell me that's an hour. If that vehicle was in there for an hour, but if you think about it, guys, the first phone call that Daniel got, I have played it on here many times, was from his coworkers, and that was at 10 o'clock in the morning. So you're trying to tell me at 9:15, we say the man drove off, and you did all you say. You saying that you thought you left and all that. So that little bit of time, you all of a sudden call and saying something, tell them what happened, and then you wait till later and then say, "Oh, I'm going out there to search for him." Well, you got to think about it, you guys. Most average person would say, if I would have thought that much of what really going on, you have a cell phone number, you have Daniel's cell phone number, I would have made a call. Like, man, you coming back? You okay? Man, you just drove off in a hurry. So why are you calling his job without calling him? The first thing you do is call the job, say, yeah, blah, blah, blah. You claiming you called job. Well, I don't know, because that is his word, right? So I don't know. But you call the job instead of calling him, and did not call at all. And then the ironic, to the weird part about it, when this guy, by the time this guy, Daniel's friend from the job, came to my daughter's house, apartment, to tell her that they haven't seen Daniel that morning, right? That's when Ken, while he's there, I guess, that's when Ken called Daniel's phone. At, I think it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Called Daniel's phone, right? So I'm saying, you guys, this stuff just don't add up. The other part is, again, you guys already know, Ken said originally. We always go by the original. And I'm saying that's why they should look into him. He changed the story with the second cop. Original, he came, we was at the well site at 9 o'clock. He was gone at 9:15. But Daniel's last phone call, according to Daniel's phone record, was to Ken at 9:28. If he was going at 9:15, why are you calling at 9:28? If Daniel was calling at 9:20, nobody was calling him for him. But 9:28, right? So a lot of stuff just don't add up. But so long story. The Mile IQ app saying that Daniel stopped that, according to Buckeye Police Department. That ain't true, guys. I'm gonna show you the same thing that Mile IQ gave me that I gave to Buckeye, saying 10 o'clock, 10 something. I forgot what it was, right? That he made that stop intervene, because the Mile IQ supposed to pick up stops, you guys. As soon as you stop the vehicle or where you at, stop moving or whatever, it'll mark it where you at, whatever, that type deal. That's how it's supposed to work. So it was at 10 something. What happened to it don't take, you guys. I wish I had been in Arizona right now, in that desert in Buckeye, and could drive and show you how long it take for me to get from that well site to that crash site, right? And a couple, I'm sure, and the crazy part about it, I will show you how many times you have to stop before you get there. You have to stop to open up a gate. That should have been a marker on the Mile IQ app, because you can't just drive through the gate and, that gate is always shut. You have to stop at this gate before you get to this power station, and then you have to go. So that would have been a marker on the Mile IQ app. It's not there. It's a lot, you guys. I'll tell you, that's the reason why the owners of the app told me that you can't go by our app. It's unreliable. It don't catch everything. This, that, blah, blah, blah. Buckeye policemen found something they can utilize to get this vehicle there for 30 days. They are obsessed, against logic and everything, to put Daniel's vehicle in that the ravine for 30 days. But the other part is, again, the story about this guy, it's a lot. It's a lot. He could have been doing a whole lot of phone calls. And then the crazy part, guys, I haven't seen him at one search out of 49 weeks. If you're that concerned about my son, this is way before I started looking at him as a suspect. You didn't come to one. You're that concerned, but you didn't came to a search looking for him. Oh, I went out there and looked for him out there on my own. But then when the dad came out with a real search out there before law enforcement on the ground, you didn't come to one. You didn't come to one. You're that concerned, but you didn't come to one. Outstanding. Anyway, let me get off of that. Question: is there any movement yet on demanding deeming this a criminal case? Again, no. That's part of my protest that I have with the Maricopa County and also the Buckeye Police Department release my son's case. Oh, thank you, Maltese, for being here. You guys, I'm about to jump off. I've been a little too long. I'm almost making this an all-day thing. Crushing in the police department, for sure. Thinking of you, David. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Maltese. And thank you, Amy, as well, um, for um, for being here. Thanks so much. Yeah, protest election time. Yeah, that's the best time to do it. I agree with that. Um, let's see. Have you spoken to Jerry Sheridan? He's running against Bazone. Let me write his name down. No, I have not, and I will probably talk to him and see how I can help his campaign out if he's a good person, and to get people who support Daniel Robinson case in Arizona to support him as a candidate. So yeah, I can utilize that. Let me write his name down here because I will not. I didn't know that. So thank you for that information there. I definitely can use that information. Let's see, ERIDAN. All right. You guys, if I don't write the stuff down, I usually have my team. My team used to do all this for me in the chat. They are working people too, so I'm just doing this in the middle of the day. But yeah, they would have got the stuff down. Some of the moderators I probably don't have today because I came here in the middle of the day. We wrote that down and give me the information because I trust me, if I got off this Debbie, I wouldn't remember once I got off the live. So um have somebody call me and say, "Hey, Mr. Robinson, can you do this?" And then they'll throw my mind off of everything I said I was going to do. All right. Let's see here. What else I have here? Thank you so much, Lavender. I really appreciate you showing up and supporting. God bless you for that. And thank you, Forever Curious, for your constant support. Buckeye, sometimes something in the water does not compute. It doesn't. They don't have enough water out there to sustain that smart city. Travelis is the name that they're trying to build. A while ago, you had mentioned an altercation at the gas station. Did anyone ever look at those into those men or their truck? Um, I think you probably talking about when I don't know if you're saying for me personally with the guys in the pickup truck using the racist remarks, yelling call us N words and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you're talking about that. You say at, gas station that was near a a Family Dollars that's out there in Buckeye, and but I'm not sure what you're definitely referring to. So I'll think about that, Christine. Thank you so much for um, showing up and help your support. Forever Curious, thank you so much for your question. Any access to old flight track record of Buckeye LE helicopter flight path? I've put in. I have a FOIA request. I have the case number for my request and all that. I constantly call. 'Cause Buckeye don't have their own helicopters. They use out of Maricopa County, or they use probably even DPS. I don't know if Maricopa County have it, but I know DPS, and they use Phoenix Firebird, fire rescue type deal. In my son's case, they claim they used DPS as well as as well as the Phoenix Firebird, and I haven't done anything with DPS because the reason why is because they said this is a search that was done when the vehicle showed up. I will question that because that as there's still a question I'm gonna have to get from DPS. I do know the in charge person at DPS now, the colonel, I guess his title now. He was the chief of police at the time when I was able to get Tempe to do the forensics on my son's vehicle. I mean, on his electronics. That's from the Tempe. He was a chief then, but he moved over to DPS. So I'll probably be easier to get that information, which I will be filing for that. Also, but as in for the Phoenix Firebird helicopter, like I said, it's been over a year and a half. And first of all, that's against the law. First of all, a year and a half request, and they still haven't furnished it to me because it don't exist. Again, I think the reason why they're able to constantly keep putting me on hold, say, "Well, we're still looking. We didn't find it yet. We're still looking." It's because they're protecting the blue. They know it's not there. They probably find out what I'm looking for it for, and in my opinion, Buckeye falsifying claims that they went to search with a helicopter search and lied to my family, and Phoenix probably not willing to make them look bad. And again, it's part of that blue thing, I believe, because it don't make sense to this date. They don't have any proof of that ever happening. Make no sense. They could not find Daniel's Jeep, but believe it was there when they claimed they looked. It's against their own thing. I'm telling you something, you guys. Another thing, when I give y'all that analogy about the finding the jelly in the cabinet, and you could say you look, but didn't really look. Um, if you think about it, how you could tell me that you did this overwhelming search when that vehicle showed up? That's another thing. That's the reason why you're right. I probably should get that flight record from DPS, because they said they had this, and the guy and Rancher said he was out there the whole time. He changed the tire of the Razor and all that. He said, and you look at it, start looking at the pictures. I started looking at the pictures really closely. You could count how many officers out there on that ground looking for Daniel. They claim they're sitting in their vehicle, some standing out the vehicle, but you could count. I say I probably count like 4 or 5 vehicles, right? That's not no real search for Daniel, but that's a word game. Again, the other part is they say they did helicopter search. Detective Bibb said, "Yeah, we did some low flying helicopter thing that you can. This is why you can lift your hand in the air and touch the bottom when they pass. You can touch the bottom of the helicopter when they just ride so low to the ground to look for your son, right? Helicopter. Now, I think he was making fun of me, but that's another thing. But the thing is, there's no record of that either. The other part is, I'm saying it, guys. If you think about it, that whole scenario about they looked really hard in that area for Daniel when that vehicle showed up, but yet a few hundred feet we found. When I say we, in my searches, you guys, not law enforcement, so don't get confused. You see certain things. Found a human skull, and they claim they had this cadaver dogs and search dogs. They told me, but the rancher again, his account is there was no dogs, plural. It was a dog they had. And you don't know what kind of dog it was, but they brought it at 10 o'clock at night, he said. And they been out for probably not even an hour, and they brought it back talking about the mountain lion was stalking it, right? And so I'm saying, but you look at their report, they said they had the DPS. I mean, I'm saying even Maricopa County trying to vouch for Buckeye. Oh, we had Maricopa County dogs. He told me they told him they didn't have more dogs because their dogs was in training. That's another record I'm gonna have to pull from Maricopa County to see if they even lying for Buckeye. So the thing is, I'm saying, you guys, but they haven't found the human skull that was on a few hundred feet. You guys remember when I searched a mine that was a few hundred feet from where the vehicle's found? And then 4 months later, because I was talking about so much in public, that they went out and had like there's I call it photo opping. Buckeye went out there with a search, taking pictures of this. They were standing at this looking down in this. They was calling it a well. That's how I knew they was lying, because they call it a well. It's actually a mine, and they're looking down there like they looking in the mine. And so for you guys, for pictures on their website or whatever, their social media platform, they wasn't looking for Dan. That was a photo op. So the thing is, I'm saying, you guys, you know, it's a lot. It don't make sense when you say you really search for Daniel, but yet you've been over that area, you're contradicting your own search. Should says plural, they claim they did, and the vehicle wasn't there because you somehow didn't see it, but then you're trying to use an app, that's unreliable app, to prove your point, because I was pointing the inconsistency and how wrong they are by science and facts and what's on the ground, what you see with your eyes and everything else. They don't want you to believe what you see with your eyes and see the facts and evidence, but they want you to go with an app that's unreliable, that kind of favor what they want to say all the time. So you get what I'm saying? So I don't like that. And you're not going to handle my son's case that way. It's not going to happen. It's not ever going to happen, you guys. I'm just a different father. I ain't gonna say all fathers wouldn't do it. Like I said, my own view, and I have to take that back, because I believe my personal father would not do it. And I can go there, but I'm not gonna go there. I'll just say it like this: I was raised without a father, and that's the reason why I'm making sure that all cases and everything I can do, my children are gonna have their father. And the thing is, I've tried, and I'm trying to be the best father my children can have. And I just know those things that I'm doing is what I feel that I would wish my father would have been doing for me. No, so those things is, I think, and so I'm assuming with our picture of a good father, I believe that good fathers out there would be doing exactly what I'm doing. So it's not unique. What I'm saying is, but it's something that I know that fathers that are good fathers will be out there doing. I know some good fathers who still tell me they're good father, but they still tell me they still wouldn't have done it that long as I've been doing it. So I can say that, and I did talk to fathers. Fathers, it may be kind of, I don't know, but I understand the reason why they say they have their reasons why. And so everybody to each his own. But what I'm saying is, you guys, I'm not gonna allow law enforcement. I'm not afraid to question law enforcement. You know, none of that stuff. I'm not, especially when it comes to my child. Hey, look, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be a thorn in their flesh until they do the right thing by me and my son and my family. They're gonna have to do the right things. And when I say they, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, Buckeye Police Department, and my son have to be found. This one case they're not just gonna walk away from. Forever curious, simply common sense, no roof damage, no build up on material next to Jeep, fragments of glass not washed away. There you go. Crash site at a ravine seems illogical to claim the Jeep was there for 30 days because it wasn't, you guys. It wasn't. So again, and we're not going to allow them to make it there. We're not going to allow that to happen. All right, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I think that's all the question I have. I have JBJ, but thank you guys. I wasn't able to join the chat. Just know we're always thinking of Daniel and the family. Daniel is always in my prayers. Thank you so much, JPJ. Moni, thank you so much for your quest. Can take months and months. Yeah, but this has been almost 2 years. I believe that it could, but it takes a long time. But we have been successful with other things, but yeah, this one particular thing they still haven't produced. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm still gonna keep asking until a point gonna come where they're gonna have to be some legal stuff, because I think with the Arizona law, they had a certain deadline to present that stuff to me. But they haven't done it yet. So and I think that's a legal thing. No matter what they say by law, they have to produce certain things at a certain level of time. Keeping on, David. Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate that support. That is very much a morale booster to continue what I do. I wish I could have had my cam working again. Like I said, it's the camera stopped like that. I I really wanted to have you guys see my interaction, things like that. So I'll try to see if I can get it working again. But that's out there. So don't forget the family of the missing, and try to share their stories as much as possible. Families, we're reliant on people sharing our loved ones' stories. We're reliant on that because as you guys know, Miss Navarro, Miss Nunez, her daughter Jessica was just found, and before she was found, we just had an interview together, and she and I was talking about how difficult it is to keep your loved one's story out there. And it's difficult, you guys, and it's a lifeline. People don't understand how real that is for the family of the missing. It is a lifeline to what happens to that case from that bridge. It's that bridge and the lifeline, but it's that bridge that keep that case from becoming cold. When that bridge fall apart, that case become cold. It's a lifeline, and it feeds that case, and it keep that case going. It keep the interest there. It keeps law enforcement doing what they're supposed to do. Et cetera. You guys keep that. Those who may know something or who ever heard something may finally say something. So it's a lifeline. So you guys share these stories and share loved ones. Please do so, man. Anytime you can. It's gonna hurt to reshare, or retweet, or um, these stories because we really need it. Families, we really need it. You can do it once a week, once a day, whatever. But just share these stories for the missing people because we need it. Like I said, it's a lifeline. So don't forget that, you guys. Thank you so much. I love each and every last one of you. God bless you. And I'll see you on, I don't know when I'm doing the next live, but when I do my next live, I'll see you then. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day.